Duck, just go over and get onto the bench and stay there.
You play to win the game.
My message for the fans, we're all frustrated with where we are right now.
Jets, Jets.
Well, hello, everybody. You got to see the accordion there in our intro. This is GreenBean. I am super psyched to be here with you guys tonight. Sorry for the little bit of a late delayed start. We should be good moving on, but I want to get right into introducing the other faces on the screen with me. We have my regular co-host, Frankie from Flatbush from Pittsburgh. How you doing there, Frankie?
Good, GreenBean. I am ready to gripe and gripe intelligently. Let's get to the griping. There's a lot of griping to be done.
There is. The only way to gripe is intelligently, but Jets Twitter does not understand that.
No, we gotta start a new trend, GreenBean. We need to start the gripe intelligently hashtag.
That's right. I agree. You know what? That's exactly what we're going to do, Frankie. I love it. We have work to do, my friend. Yeah. So let's talk about the third head on the screen tonight. We're actually pretty damn excited to have our friend Luke Grant from Play Like a Jet. I've been watching your videos for some time, man. And I'm just so incredibly grateful that you're here to cut up some Jet stuff and get to hear your opinion. Thanks for coming on. How you doing tonight, Luke?
I'm going pretty well, thanks, GreenBean. Thanks for having me, Frankie. I'm excited to talk Jets football. It's been a rough couple of weeks, obviously, since Zach's come back. It hasn't been what we would have liked and anticipated, but nonetheless, it's always good to talk Jets football, and you kind of get used to it after a while. So let's break it down.
Yeah, well, before we get right into it, I want to just give you an opportunity. Can you tell everybody where it is that they can find you? I did mention Play Like a Jet, but if there are specific places where you're offering your, your dissections of players and plays, where can they get you if they're looking for you?
The easiest place is on Twitter. Whether you want to follow me or not, that's a completely different story. I'll leave that up to everyone individually. I'm at Luke Grant 7 on Twitter. As you said, GreenBean, all our content's at Play Like a Jet. All my stuff's over on the YouTube. If you just type in Play Like a Jet on YouTube, you find us there. A lot of film breakdown. I don't want to give my analysis too much on things I'm not comfortable with, but breaking down film's kind of my background. So that's what I do a lot of, and I try to be as upfront and objective as possible, and that's always the goal. So check us out over there, but I'm pleased to be here.
Yeah, man. You know, it's really good. I think why I like you so much is because I don't break down film. I mean, I mess with it, but that's not my area of strength. So I'm always interested when guys that are actually good at it, know what they're talking about, can provide that, because that's not what I do. I just like to talk and like Frankie says, gripe intelligently. But film breakdown is not my area of forte. So I love watching your stuff. It's really great to have you here, man. And thank you. I want to say hello to some guys in the chat over here. We had Biker Ray comes in first with some good vibes over there, Frankie. Scott Wilson is here. Watch2K, as we know, is in the background, and he's going to be coming on just a little while. Maybe even Jeremy will stop in. He's not here yet, but he likes to come around too. So we'll let him jump on as well. Jets Forever is here. Tom Bon Jovi, Ant Jets 82, Utah Bullets. Hello, Mikey Mouse. Good to see you. And Jets Mess is here again. You guys are the best. Justin Jet says, great show tonight. 2 amazing guests on top of the legend. Ooh, I don't know how to take this stuff sometimes. You guys are fun. And more and more are popping in. John and Paul Klein, all you guys. So thanks for being here, guys. Hopefully we get into a really good show. I can't wait to get into it. So first thing, Luke, before we get into the intricate details, I want to know your expectations prior to the season. Is what we're seeing right now on a grand scale as a team whole, is it meeting your expectations, maybe disappointing you? Are you exceeding, are the Jets exceeding your expectations? Where do you see them compared to what you thought was going to happen going into the season?
My expectations have been low for about a decade, but even this season isn't exceeding what I thought the Jets would be. Let's be honest. I thought this was a 6 or 7 win team. Coming into the year, I recognized they had a soft middle part of their schedule. We're kind of in the midst of it now. Unfortunately for us, Zach hasn't played as we would have liked. as of yet, for the most part. There's a multitude of reasons why. That's been a little disappointing. Injuries, Michael Carter's have been down, Mekhi Becton, a ton of people like that. So that's had an impact. But all in all, I've been really disappointed with the defense. I know they've had some injuries and some issues, but I think the play calling's been really tough. I don't think they've put their players in the best position. And overall, as a team, I think it's been relatively disappointing. I think they're 2 or 3 wins behind where I thought they'd be.
Greenbean, you're muted.
Yeah, I was being nice with cars driving by. I got all these diesel trucks, and I forgot. So I was going to say 6 wins is kind of where I thought realistically. I had some secret hopes that the ball would bounce the right way and we'd get up to like 12. You know what I mean? Something like that with a few bounces of the ball, guys. I think we can get from 6 to 12 wins really easily. But I think that's where we are with 3 wins. If we were to maybe split or something, I think I'd be pretty happy. Do you agree, Luke? You think 5 or 6, right? Would that be okay?
Yeah, I think if you end the season strongly and you have some hope from your young core players and you see some results on the field, fans are going to be satisfied because, it's a what have you done for me lately world. And if the Jets finish the year winning 3 of their last 5, people are going to be stoked, especially if they nab one against Buffalo in week 17 or week 18 now, and they get a reverse of 2015. The Jets still have an opportunity to salvage this season. For me, and I know it's a loser attitude and mentality, this wasn't about making the playoffs this year. It was about developing a young roster. We haven't quite seen it, as I just said before, but all in all, if you have a really strong finish to the season, maybe Mekhi comes back, maybe Elijah Moore comes back the last 2 games, and we put all these pieces around Zach and you see development and you get 3 wins, that would be huge. And I think that's when you walk away from the season feeling great about yourself.
Yeah, right on. Frankie, what you got?
I'd be curious to know how Luke is seeing the offensive line. One of the things we've been talking about is this offensive line of ours. And, you mentioned Luke, maybe Mekhi comes back, and people have been disappointed because originally the Jets told us, hey, it's a 4 to 6 week injury. And that was probably a mistake to put that out there because I think anybody who knew anything knew that it was late December when he was coming back. So I'm not sure why they told us that. But on the other hand, we have gotten really good play, in my estimation, from George Fant in particular on the left side, and Morgan Moses has been pretty good on the right side. I'd like to know in particular in your film study what you've seen in George Fant, because I have a video out coming out tomorrow, sneak peek, that shows that PFF is grading George Fant on his pass blocking efficiency extremely high, even higher than a guy like Trent Williams, which blew me away. Because, Trent Williams is a guy that everyone thinks from the 49ers is perhaps the greatest tackle in the league. And here we are seeing George Fant being graded higher than a guy like Trent Williams. So I'm wondering what you see on film. Does that sort of comport with what you're seeing? Grades are, PFF grades, people have different opinions about how PFF grades people. So I'm wondering what you're seeing on film for George Fant.
He's been undoubtedly the surprise of the season for me. When we signed George Fant and he played left tackle 2 years ago, he was okay. Then he moved to the right side. And I think a lot of people forgot that George Fant is new to the tackle position. He came in as a tight end in college. Right. Not only that, you're asking him to move from left tackle to right tackle. That's doing something completely backwards. It's not that easy to shift from the left to the right. Ask any offensive lineman coach, a guy like Duke Manyweather, any of those guys. They'll tell you it's not easy to do. What he's done this year has been remarkable. It's his feet and how nimble he is in pass pro. He really wins with his base and his ability to get out of his stance quickly, because that's how you beat edges in the NFL, is by getting off your spot and getting to the spot they're trying to beat you quicker. And George Fant's done a great job. I think PFF, you talked about it, Frankie, they've only charted him as having 1 sack, I believe, in 2021 so far. A remarkable job when Elijah Vera Tucker has had some ups and downs next to him. The one caveat I will say is that there's been some miscommunications and some free rushes off the edge. Some people will say it was the line sliding. Some people will say it was George Fant making mistakes. I think mentally he still has some lapses with his blitz pickups and identification of numbers in the passing game. But on the whole, one-on-one, George Fant's been a top 10 tackle easily in the NFL on the left side, in my estimation. And as I said, it starts with his feet, because that's where he wins. He's not going to be a mauler and a brawler like Trent Williams. He's going to win with how nimble he is and how well he moves in space.
Well, and it's really interesting talking about George Fant. If you remember correctly, when we signed him, it was immediately after, quote, losing out on Jack Conklin And everybody kind of assumed that George Fant was a panic signing by a very raw and rookie GM. And at bare minimum, people were unimpressed with the signing. And truth be told, he has been pretty good. Like you said, he's been bouncing back and forth for his 2 years here. And has done pretty damn well, you know. So George Fant is kind of, you know, you think if he has another year in the system and, you know, more time with his line mates, they're going to continue to get better. But then we have this very imposing sort of cloud behind that offensive line named Mekhi Becton. Mount Becton is looming. Now, when he can come back, whether it's, you know, game 17 or if it's next year, what are you doing, Luke? Are you having a competition? Are you saying, no, George Fant won that job fair and square? Mekhi, you can try to battle for the right side. Or does Mekhi Becton get the left spot and do you throw George Fant on the right side?
This may sound contradictory to everything I just said, but the ceiling of Mekhi Becton and what he can give you in the running game, because obviously we talked about George Fant as a pass blocker. We didn't really touch on the running game stuff, and that's a big part of what this system is. Mike LaFleur, play action, outside zone, wide zone. That's the scheme. Everything starts with the running game for his offense. I still think Mekhi Becton's ceiling in the running game, what he can do in pass pro. I talked about George Fant being a top 10 left tackle. Mekhi Becton was very, very nearly that last year. And that's as a rookie. And while Mekhi Becton has been injury prone, I think you have to attack this offseason as he's the left tackle and George Fant with 1 year left on his contract. If the Jets want to keep him around, they can get rid of him. I don't anticipate them doing that with no cap hit of dead space. I think that he has to go back to the right side, and it's going to work in his favor that he has a season there because it's not brand new to him now. He at least has wet his beak, so to speak, a little bit, and he has that kind of opening limited experience. But I just think Mekhi Becton is a special talent, guys. I know that there's the injuries, and I know that there's the weight issues and everything the media wants to force down your throat. This kid is an elite athlete at 360, 370 pounds, and if he can stay healthy, he could be Trent Williams. People talk about that guy, very similar build. He's obviously even bigger. He is a mauler. Him and Elijah Vera Tucker could be the best left side of the offensive line in the NFL in the run game. I think that's too great to leave George Fant there as well as he's played.
And
Now
Frankie,
you're talking,
real quick,
Luke.
before you answer, did Bolt? All right, he is. Now, did you guys see Mekhi Becton released an Instagram shot today? He got a new Ford Raptor, I think it was, and he's walking away from it. Did he look like an overweight guy to either one of you? Did you see it, Frankie? Did you see it?
I didn't see it. But I mean,
Well,
I've seen that. I've seen the video of him working out before he got injured and all of that stuff. And I think it was a media creation. I think it was a Dick Chimney special. That's what I think.
Dick Chimney. Luke, what do you think? I mean, does he, you know, we're hearing stories that he's 375, 380. He can't, you know, he's totally overweight. He's fat. He's out of shape. Did you see that? And what do you think about Mekhi Becton? Do you think it's a media creation, or you think we have something to worry about here with him?
Do you remember when Muhammad Wilkerson was fat? Do you remember when Le'Veon Bell was fat? And both of them look like prime elite athletes. This is the New York media, guys. We know what they're like. The beat love to drive these stories. It's what gets them clicks. It's what gets them, you know, people reading their articles. Mekhi Becton, for his size, is in phenomenal shape. And his injuries, look, because he is a bigger guy, he will always have the possibility to pick up lower leg and body injuries. That's human nature. When you're carrying more load, you're putting more force on your joints and your lower body. He's not overweight. He's not fat. This guy is a machine. He just needs to stay healthy. It's natural that when you're not playing for 8-10 weeks, you're going to, you know, lose certain muscle groups in different areas that you're using playing football. There's no worry there for me. Mekhi Becton's in great shape. He always has been. He just needs a little bit of luck when it comes to injuries.
Got it. Interesting.
Well, yeah, I'd say let's stay on the offensive line. This is sort of like my favorite topic. I think the offensive line group is probably my favorite. I think it's the most important group on the team other than quarterback. And so now you're telling me Mekhi Becton can develop into Trent Williams, and we can have George Fant on the right. Okay, now we're rocking because we got AVT as the left guard. We got McGovern at center, who's been the top 10 center this year, according to PFF. Which leaves one spot and one spot only, and that's right guard. So we got a new right guard. Somehow Joe Douglas was able to trade a special teams player who then we got back onto the roster to get a starting right guard, which is kind of a miracle, but he did it. And
Incredible.
now we have, and he's a doctor. And on top of that, and we have Dr. Larry as our right guard. And I'm curious, Luke, what you're seeing out of Dr. Larry. Is he, he's gotten some good grades out of PFF, but I'm curious what your opinion of him on film is. And could he be, if we extended his contract, could he be sort of a longer term solution at right guard for us?
I think when you're comparing him to the last thing you've seen, which is Greg Van Roten, he looks incredible. Like, he looks like an all-pro out there. His run game stuff is you can't even measure how much better he is than GVR in that side of the game. His ability to move people, to cause displacement at the line of scrimmage, to just win with physicality. And in pass pro, he's been really respectable. I'll say there's been a couple of losses that PFF don't show up, like when Zach Wilson against the Houston Texans had his face mask ripped off. That's a pressure allowed by LDT, but because it's a penalty, it doesn't come up in the stats. You always have to be mindful of things like that. But overarchingly, he's been consistent. And look, what an upgrade from Joe Douglas at a position that is so important in the NFL. Don't listen to people that tell you that guard isn't important and center's not important. It's only about the tackles. Each of those 5 spots in the offensive line is crucial. To upgrade their way they have has been spectacular, especially for Dan Brown, who's now back with us, as you guys mentioned. Is he the solution moving forward? Possibly. I mean, I think the Jets look to draft a guard in the second or third round, maybe the third or fourth round, try and find that talent, like what Green Bay's done for years. How often have they replenished talent when they already have their starter there? That's what I want to see from Joe Douglas. Bring in a competition, LDV, a young guy in the third or fourth round. Now we're starting to talk. We've got that depth. That's what I want to see in the offseason.
That's beautiful, because what that really does is it allows us then to focus our premium picks on the defense and tight end, of course. And once we start talking about tight end, I think GreenBean might get a little excited as well.
That's right.
But so that's because, what that really means, Luke, is that we don't necessarily need Evan Neal. We don't necessarily need Ikem Ekwonu. We don't necessarily need Tyler Linderbaum. Those are the top 3 linemen, as I understand it, generally speaking, in the draft. And so if we don't need any of those people, then we can really focus on the defense and bulk that up with our premium picks.
I mean, there's so much great talent on the defensive side of the ball. We went through a draft last year that was laden with offensive talent. There was so much, whether it be the quarterback position, the wide receivers. This is the first great defensive draft. Look, I'm early. I haven't started watching all my film yet like I want to get into, but you got guys like Derek Stingley and Hamilton. I don't want to touch on the safety and whether the Jets would. I'm not there yet. I'm not going to get in that debate. I'll leave that to you guys.
Yeah.
But there's just so many great. Look at the edge guys. Thibodeau at Oregon. You've then got the kid out of Michigan. How good's he been the last 3 or 4 weeks? Hutchinson just completely changed the perspective of this draft board. He could go number 1 now. This is a special class. And if the Jets have 2 top 10 picks, it's going to be really difficult if they stay at those picks to not take 2 defensive players. They have the worst defense in the NFL. You want to look at rushing metrics, pass rushing metrics, stopping the pass. They haven't had it. And yes, they've had injuries. And Bryce Huff and Carl Lawson are huge losses. But if you can go and get a Thibodeau, how often have you heard a team complain because they don't have, they have too many edge rushers? Oh, we've got too many edge rushers. Damn, what a shame, The Jets haven't had a premium one for a long time. If they can get their hands on those kind of caliber of players on the defensive side of the ball, we're in good stead. And then, as you just kind of mentioned, Frankie, use the middle of that draft, the Sam Darnold pick, the extra third rounder, use those, or fourth rounder, sorry, to acquire those offensive talent and pieces at wide receiver and at right guard, a bit of depth there, a tight end. That's when you can add those pieces and that flavor in.
Yeah. Amazing, man. I know it's funny, it's way early to talk draft stuff, but when the Jets are like they are right now, you can't help it. You can't help but look forward. And anything we say right now, it's not even the combine yet. We haven't seen pro days. We haven't seen free agency. So, of course, opinions are going to change. But here we are. I know Hamilton's kind of the touchy name around Jets fans anyway. But before we move off the offensive line, I want to get one more opinion. Now, there are some people in the chat talking about it. Dark Soldier comes in after some people said that they might want to move away from Connor McGovern. He says he'd like to keep Connor McGovern. He will know the offense more than anyone else who comes in. How do you feel? He's under contract for 1 more year, if I remember correctly. But what are you doing with Connor McGovern? The last few weeks, he's playing top 10 center ball.
Yeah.
But he seems to have issues. He's not exactly consistent so far. Now, there has been 2 offensive schemes he had to learn. So there's that. But what do you think about Connor McGovern? Are you looking to upgrade, or are you looking just to keep him in the system, continuity, keep the guys, keep the band together, so to speak, and keep him around for next year? What are you doing?
Unless Joe Douglas says, okay, I'm going to trade back to the middle to latter part of the first round and take Tyler Lindenbaum, unless that's his game plan, I think you stick with Connor McGovern. I was big in the offseason in believing that McGovern was going to take a large step forward this year because the Shanahan scheme is so similar to what he ran in Denver. And his last year in Denver, he was a top 10 center in the NFL. When he's able to climb with these zone running games and get to the second level and seal people with his athleticism, that's when you see the best of Connor McGovern. Now, the start of the year was rough. Think back to the Panthers game, the New England game. There were mental lapses. There was an inability to pick things up, and that starts with the center. I know he had an Instagram post where he kind of talked to a fan and blamed other players. I didn't love that from a leadership perspective. But since really the Atlanta game and the bye, I think he's been, as you guys said, a top 10 center. And I think when you have so many other holes, unless you're going for the home run upgrade, I think you keep him and you look to address other areas.
Amazing. Yeah, I think I'm on that tip too, Frankie. What do you think? Are you a little bit feeling a little better about Connor McGovern these days?
I've always liked Connor McGovern. One thing he is durable. I mean, one that you got to think, that is super valuable. The guy is always in there, and he's ranked consistently after the first couple of games which were rough. He's a top 10 center, and that's what we thought we were getting when we signed him. And then we said, what happened? He's been disappointing, but now he's back to what he was. He doesn't miss any games, and I'd be very hesitant to change over the center position because of the communication and knowing the system and all that stuff. You got a top 10 guy. What are you going to do? Upgrade to a top 7 guy? I mean, what's the difference between a top 10 guy and a top 6 guy? It's very little. So why do it? Yeah. And I would extend McGovern a couple of years. He's pretty young. I think he's 28. So I'd give him a 2 or 3 year extension and just roll with that.
Yeah. Jets Forever doesn't like it, but that's okay. We don't all have to agree Jets Forever. We're still all of us. Well, Frankie, what else you got for Luke here?
Well, what I would be curious about, let's move over to defense. So one of the things I keep track of is how often we're in 4-3, how often we're in 4-2-5, 4-1-6, et cetera. And I've noticed, to my surprise, the last few games after I started tracking this, that we're actually a nickel-based defense. We are 87 to 95% of the time in nickel. And I believe, and this is what I'd like your opinion on, Luke, I believe the reason we are that way is because of, believe it or not, the loss of LaMarcus Joyner. LaMarcus Joyner, if you remember, he got injured in the first week, and he was supposed to be our cover safety. And he was a guy who was converting from a nickel corner. He didn't like that role with the Raiders. He said, hey, I'm a safety, but he's got, cornerback skills. And we said, great, come over here. We'll sign you, and you can do that. And you're going to have a good role for us. And we'll have our 4-3 defense, and we'll have CJ, and we'll have Sherwood, and we'll have Jared Davis. And that was the plan. Well, Jared Davis gets injured and then has been bad, in my opinion. And then you had LaMarcus Joyner out for the year after the first game. And so Ulbrich is sitting there going, okay, how am I going to cover all these people? Well, I got Michael Carter. I can bring him in, but he's a cornerback. So I got to be in nickel all this time. So I would like your opinion about how that has all evolved on our defense and whether or not that has been the source of our woes in stopping the run, because Michael Carter, for as good as he is, he's not a tackle machine.
Yeah, I think it's twofold. I think it's the linebacker depth and lack thereof. You talked about Gerard Davis has been poor. Nasruddin and Sherwood have both been banged up. They make a huge difference to your football team when you don't have productive third linebacker in this offense that relies so heavily on linebacker play. And then you said it. It's looking at that compared to what Michael Carter can offer you in defending the pass and the way the NFL is shifting. Now, when we talk about the running game and the lack of effectiveness, stopping that from the defensive perspective, I think that's more scheme related, to be honest. I look at the way that Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich are asking these guys to one gap penetrate. They're asking them to get north-south, and you're seeing Foley Fatukasi 3 yards in the backfield. That's fantastic. But he's then getting wham blocked or he's getting trapped. And they're doing these things to kind of utilize our aggressiveness. So I think that's more why we struggled against the run rather than the fact that we're in nickel. But I think you're right. It's because of the linebackers and Michael Carter. That's why the Jets have been so heavily in nickel. And I think it was their plans beforehand with Joyner.
That's one of the issues that I've had, especially in the early part of the season, but I'm still seeing it. Now, initially, I saw it with the offensive line. It wasn't just that the offensive line was getting beaten, they looked confused, right? So that's a schematic thing. They haven't ingested everything, they don't quite know their assignments perfectly yet. There's a lot of thinking instead of just playing. Now, on the defense, they've had a lot more time to, like I said, ingest the defense. And what we're talking about here with the the alignments and everything. What do you think the issue is, though, with all the space that we're giving? It seems that we rarely are covering tight. I mean, I don't know how much, Frankie might know how much we're in man versus different versions of zone. But what do you think about Ulbricht's schemes, as opposed to, playing a certain team a certain way? He seems to be coming out in very similar looks for everyone. Am I off base? And how do you see it? What do you think's really going on with Ulbricht and the defense here?
From my perspective, I think you nailed it, GreenBean. It's how rigid this defense has been, how much he wants to stick with what he does well. Now, obviously, these guys come from the Seattle scheme, the cover three, the single high safety. I was really impressed with Robert Saleh last year and his coaching performance in San Francisco because he played an inordinate amount of cover four and he kind of shifted the way he played. And some people said, well, that's because of injuries and he lost Sherman and he lost, Verrett was in and out of the lineup and obviously Bosa went down. But he did it from week one against the Cardinals. So I thought, okay, this team's going to adapt. Cover one, cover three is starting to get abused by crossing routes in the NFL. The issue is they've stuck with that scheme. And in conjunction with that, and this is my biggest pet peeve, and I will tweet about it every single week, they run man coverage in cover one with 6 men on the line of scrimmage. I want to say like 80% of third downs. If there's a money third down between 3rd and 6 and 3rd and 1, I feel like they're running man coverage and teams are running little rub routes like we see the Patriots do. They're running slants, they're running wheels, and they are just abusing it because the Jets aren't multiple enough. They're staying with what they know. And look, there's something to be said about giving young players continuity and simplifying a scheme, but it's not working. And I think it's the rigidness, for lack of a better word, of this Ulbricht and Saleh scheme.
So wait, I'm sorry, Frankie, but just to follow up on that. So do you think that's what it is? I've been in numerous discussions where I've kind of come to the conclusion that this year they just want to acclimate these young guys to the essentially their base systems. They want them to know them inside and out. They want them to get their reps. It's totally superseding any desire to win the game. Of course, they want to win if they can, but more importantly, it's all about the development and just keeping these super young players. Even, even Bryce Hall, Guidry, Huff, they're only second-year players. So do you think that's what it is that, like you said, just kind of, giving them continuity in the systems? Do you think that's what's really going on?
I do. I think they're worried about, maybe worried is the wrong word, but I think they don't want to overload these guys. And it's easier to develop them when they can play fast, which is when they're playing without thinking because the scheme's not changing and they're not doing too difficult of things. I do think that's a huge factor in why the defense has been kind of as cover three, cover one heavy as it has been. For me, it just comes back to, I think the scheme is, I don't want to say wrong. You can't have a wrong scheme, but the NFL is completely shifting. You see what the LA Rams have done the last couple of years, what Staley's doing with the Chargers, Vic Fangio in Denver. The better defenses in the NFL are playing two high safeties. It's altering, ironically, for the Jets, the Shanahan scheme where Mike LaFleur's come from. That's why I really thought we'd see more too high, but I'm being disappointed in that. But I think, to your original question, I think it is to do with the young players and the lack of experience in the Jets secondary.
It's interesting.
I guess I would like to ask a similar question, and it goes back to something you said earlier, Luke, about one gapping. So, a lot of good defensive teams have a two gap scheme. You look at the Patriots, okay? And the idea with a two gap scheme is you're going to run a 3-4, and the linemen are going to be responsible for holding up the offensive lineman and sort of peeking into the backfield and seeing which way things are going, and then either going left or right so they can go either way. And you can do that if you have the type of players that you need. I mean, those guys are hard. They have to think about that job. It's pretty difficult. They're basically manhandling an offensive lineman who's 350 pounds, and then also having the intelligence to look into the backfield, figure out what's going on, do a read, and then make a move and also get off the block. That's hard to do. And but if you can do it, it seems better because then you have 4 linebackers coming in behind them to make all the plays. So in a one gap scheme, which is what we have when you have a 4-3 and you want to get up the field quickly, and then teams, like you said, wham blocks and guard power and other things are eliminating our speed. what is the counter to that? I mean, obviously Albrecht and crew sees that on film and goes, oh, they're countering our one gap scheme with these blocking schemes. What's the next chess move then?
Here's the interesting thing. You mentioned it perfectly about the style of player you need for a two-gap kind of scheme like we see from the Patriots, the Dolphins, all those kind of teams. The Jets have the horses. Quinnen Williams and John Franklin Myers, and Foley Fatukasi are both elite interior run defenders who can stand people up. While Quinnen Williams can go and shoot and get skinny in a hole when he's playing the three-tech, we saw him in Alabama two-gapping a ton. He played the nose so much for Nick Saban back in college. So they've got two guys that can do it. It comes back, though, to pass defense. And I think Robert Saleh just values one-gapping and causing penetration in the passing game so much that he doesn't want to let his players two-gap in the running game. Because obviously, if you're premeditating two-gapping and then suddenly it's a pass or it's a play action, you can't just suddenly change your approach. Players just can't be wired that quickly. So it's like they've said, well, we think the pass is the most important thing in the NFL. We believe we can cause enough disruption, and they don't want to move off that. And look, that chess move for them is easily to go and say, we're going to use more stunts and twists in the run game, like what Greg Williams did. He did a lot of that to stop the run game more than in pass rushing situations. And you can kind of be slower off the ball and you can two-gap more. The moves are there. They just don't want to change it because they believe their scheme's right. And maybe it is. Maybe it's just that the Jets don't have Lawson and Huff, but I think they need to make some adaptations and alter it heading into 2022.
Yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it, guys? Like when I'm all on board for the development. I'm on board for the continuity. I'm on board for, sticking to our guns. But when you're getting your face kicked in, sometimes you need to maybe switch it up. Go to a southpaw stance. Try something, man. At least keep us in the game. So staying with the defense, guys like Bryce Hall, like Michael Carter II, even Brandon Eccles, I'll throw him in there. Are they keepers? How do you see our young group of cornerbacks?
I think we're one corner away from having a really good group. I think if you slide Bryce Hall to be your number two on, a guy like, trying to think of an example, instead of being on Calvin Ridley, maybe he's on Gage or he's on the guy opposite him. That's a great spot for Bryce Hall. If you can make him that guy rather than, your best corner, the whole depth chart looks incredibly good, I think, because I was a huge fan of Michael Carter II after they drafted him. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't watching Duke on Saturdays over here in Australia. Once I saw his film and got, acquainted with what he did, he's really good in man. He has great instincts in zone coverage underneath, in hooks and curl flats. And then Brandon Eccles has shown me more than I thought he was going to coming out of Kentucky. If you make those guys cornerbacks 2, 3, and 4, and maybe Derek Stingley comes in and he becomes that dude straight away, and you see it. I know people think, players take a while to develop. They're not going to come in and be stars. Think about Marshawn Lattimore. Think about those kind of guys. Even Patrick Surtain II this year. You can step in at corner and be a stud if you're that caliber of prospect. And if the Jets can do that, I actually feel really good about their corners. I think that's been probably the least problematic area on the defense, which who could have predicted that?
Never.
The holes at linebacker, some of the inconsistencies from CJ Mosley, the edge pressure or lack thereof, the safeties, Ashton Davis taking bad routes to the football. They're things I'm more concerned about than the corner group, which I actually feel pretty confident. So, yeah, I think one more corner that's a good caliber player, and that group looks really good.
Amazing. Going into the season, we were all like, oh, man, our defense, we better do something to cover that group up. And then they end up being pretty much the most solid group out of the D. It's incredible. Who thought that was coming? Not me.
Yeah, build the statue to Tony Oden. I mean, Coach Oden, and Coach Manuel. Well, Coach Manuel less, but Coach Oden.
Yeah, Tony Oden, man, he's something special. That guy. If you ever listen to Tony Oden speak, instantaneously you want to get up and do something. He just has that innate, natural ability to motivate. He's so intelligent. I love him. I'm so glad to have him.
Yep, absolutely. Well, and I guess that leads us to the linebacking group. I mean, I've been saying that Jared Davis is the problem for a long time, ever since he got back on the field. Yeah. Now, I don't really know that's true. It seems to me like he's misaligned a lot of times, and he should be in the middle, and he's out here, and he's out here, and he should be in the middle. And so I think he's reading things wrong. Luke, from your analysis on the film, is Jared Davis as bad as I think he is? And is his position perhaps best suited to be off the team?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think if you're looking at his positioning, off the field would be the best place to start. I think it's a combination of how quickly he can read and be instinctive, because that's a huge part of linebacker play. And then the angle he takes. I'm trying to think who scored with a running back. I think it was actually against the Dolphins in his first game back. They scored off a little running back wheel at the left side of the end zone at MetLife. And Jarrad Davis took a horrendous route to the football. It was an easy touchdown to Myles Gaskin. It's stuff like that just happens week after week. And he has been a huge issue. And that was the first signing we made in the offseason. And while it was controversial, I thought, you know what? We got two defensive coaches who are linebacker experts. That's Sulla and Ulbricht's bread and butter. I'll trust them. They know so much more than I do sitting at home watching film. It hasn't worked. It flat out hasn't. And you look at the rest of the group, they've been okay. CJ Mosley, I thought, started terrifically. And PFF was giving him a hard time. And I was out there fighting the fight because I thought CJ Mosley was fantastic. But since the midpoint of the season, he's taken a step back. And it's been unfortunate. He's a great guy. He's a great leader. His play definitely has regressed a little bit since the midpoint of the season. Quincy Williams, sorry to get ahead of myself, but Quincy Williams was a guy who week 4 or 5, I tweeted out, man, Quincy Williams is terrible at football. And for the next 4 weeks, he played incredible. He was so good. And look, I'm happy to be wrong if it's positive for the Jets. His issue is always going to be volatile play. He makes the incredible plays where he's having 16 tackles and he's screaming around. And then he'll have other ones where he doesn't get his head around. He isn't slowing his feet into contact. So he's moving too quickly. It's too easy to sidestep him. But overall, I think he's been a huge win for Joe Douglas. You're right, though. Jarrad Davis has been the concern. Not having Nasruddin and Sherwood, you haven't had anything to kind of alter the game plan. And that's why the Jets are in nickel, because of Jarrad Davis. I think you're right.
I knew
Jarrad Davis. You knew it. You know, it's so funny, Luke, that, you know, the way you said it, it was like everybody went, who? Detroit. And then the same logic. We all had the same logic. And the truth is, I liked Jarrad Davis a bunch coming out into the NFL. And he played well early in his career. He looked like he was on an upward trajectory. And then he fell off a cliff. And my thought was, hey, man, Matt Patricia, that whole thing kind of imploded over there in Detroit, and we're going to get a jewel in the rough. That's what I thought. Sadly, he got hurt and then never came. I mean, I don't think he's done very much since he's come back. I can't recall anything really too positive that he's done to counteract those negatives that you mentioned. But it is sad. I think Jarrad Davis is going to be a one and done. And this is the cool stuff about Joe Douglas's kind of approach here is he told us in his first press conference he's gonna build this team through the draft, and he's in the meantime, you know, while he's drafting guys, playing young guys, he's brought over a lot of 1-year contracts. If they work out, great, we can re-sign them. We have kind of the head start on re-signing them. If not, we're not committed to them, and then they can count toward the comp pick formula if that ever applies again. But that can pay off in that regard as well. But sadly, a lot of these 1-year deals haven't worked out. I think Jarrad Davis was somebody I was kind of most excited about. And we have a couple more of those guys, like Keelan Cole is one that comes to mind. So I'll ask this question, and then I'm gonna put a little caveat on it, because I think we just have to talk about the elephant in the room. But so as far as our wide receiver group, we have Keelan Cole, Jamison Crowder, Berrios, all free agents. We have Corey Davis, who's injured. We have Elijah Moore, who's injured, but is clearly going to be a part of this group going forward. And then we have the missing person, Denzel Mims. So question A, I guess I should say, is would you go to any length to just keep this group together and just, you know, keep the guys in the system that spent all year learning the system? Or are you letting one guy go or two guys go, keeping one? If so, which ones? And then what the hell's going on with Denzel Mims from your perspective? That's part B.
Yeah, okay. Let's start with part A. I think undoubtedly Elijah Moore is the wide receiver 1 here. In the draft process, the guy who kept jumping out to me on film when everyone said he's a slot receiver was Antonio Brown. He's a similar body composition. He's twitchy. He's great getting in and out of routes. He can win on the outside and play in the slot like he did at Ole Miss. So he's wide receiver 1. Corey Davis, he's due $12.5 million next year, fully guaranteed. He's not going anywhere. While disappointing, he can be that guy he was in Tennessee with A.J. Brown, Elijah Moore's teammate in college. And I think that will suit him better than having the pressure of being that 1,000-yard dude for the New York Jets. Now, outside of that, I think the Jets, need to bring back Berrios for special teams and playing in the slot. I think that makes sense. I think they'll let go of Jamison Crowder. I think he's been a little underwhelming the last couple of weeks. He beats man coverage really well. He wins on third down. I think he's a nice player, but he's not in the long-term plans. I think you saw that when the Jets asked him to take a pay cut in the offseason. So I'd anticipate they keep Berrios as the returner. He's been one of the best in the NFL the last 2 years. I still want to see him bring back more punts, but that's a different story. Cole's going to go. I think Crowder will go. Then you get to Denzel Mims. I mean, guys, I banged the table for Denzel Mims from January in that 2020 draft season because you saw the talent at Baylor. And people said, yeah, but it's a go slant offense. He's not running routes. When you run a 6.66 3-cone and you have great movement skills, you don't need that. Just because you weren't asked to do it doesn't mean you can't do it. That's what, people say it all the time. He looked really good last year. I thought his ability to high point the football was fantastic. His releases were a little slow. The one thing that stood out to me last year, while I loved what I saw, was that Denzel Mims' routes on the intermediate and deep level of the field looked very one-paced. They looked very slow motion at times. He looked a little like he was lacking twitch and ability to separate. And then you come into this year, and he's mentally been a mess. The COVID knocked him around. The injuries in OTAs. I'm at the point where I'm not going to give up on Denzel Mims, but I think there's not a very high chance that he's going to be a huge part of this offense moving forward in the next 2 years. I think the Jets need to plan like, Denzel Mims is wide receiver 5 or 6, which I can't believe I'm saying. And I fought the beat the entire offseason and preseason talking about Denzel Mims. He's been disappointing. The penalties, the mental lapses, lining up in the wrong formation, going into motion when he shouldn't and causing pre-snap penalties. It's unfortunate, but right now I think they have to plan that he's not in the future. I'm not saying you cut Denzel Mims, but you don't bank on him being a top 3 receiver in your core.
Oh, it's the saddest thing in the world. I'm with you. I loved him coming out, man. Loved him.
I still love him, and I still am a believer, but I too have had my concerns. And I put out a tweet that said, it was something that Chad Ochocinco actually put out showing Devontae Adams on the line, basically faking out the Bears defender, making him think he's going to go for a fade, and then he goes inside wide open, boom, touchdown. And I said, get off his skill craft. And I was thinking of Denzel Mims when I wrote that tweet because it seemed to me that Mims does not have the get-off skills of certainly not Devontae Adams and certainly not anybody competent. And I wonder, Luke, if you think maybe the Jets should say to Denzel, okay, listen, Denzel, we see what your skill set is, but for this offense, which is a timing offense, it's the West Coast offense, timing is everything. We don't have time for you to get open on a 9 route. We don't have time for that. So what I need you to do, I need you to go to one of those camps, the wide receiver camps where all they do is practice get off and they have all kinds of crazy, drills to improve your footwork. Do you think that's something the Jets might do and say, look, when you come back to training camp next year, Denzel, we got to see better footwork off the line because that's what this offense is. And if not, if you do, great, wonderful. We love you. And if not, it's going to be hard for you to get any playing time.
I think you identified it, Frankie. That's the biggest flaw in his game is his ability to win quickly at the line of scrimmage. I'm sure the Jets are pushing that hard. Will Denzel have the personal fire inside himself to go and do that? I can't answer that. I don't know him. I'd hope he would because I love him as a prospect. I still think he has so much talent. The dude oozes talent. I know Mike LaFleur compared him kind of in a half compliment to Kevin Durant as an athlete and just that he's that kind of dude that can do things most people can't. But it's got to come from intrinsic motivation. And look, maybe the last chance for Denzel Mims with the Jets is playing more a power slot. You see a lot of this in the NFL because when you're playing the X receiver position, which Corey Davis played and then Mims stepped into, you're being pressed at the line of scrimmage. So if you can't win with your releases and your footwork, you're not going to get open. You're going to be a non-factor, especially in this system. Do you say to him, can you be what A.J. Brown was in college sometimes? Can you be what Justin Jefferson was in LSU? Can he be that big slot? Look, maybe I'm completely wrong. I don't think it suits his skill set the best. But you've seen him be successful on crossing routes and things like that. So I'm not really sure what's next for Denzel. The get off and the releases are definitely a concern. We're going to have to see how that plays out in the offseason.
I like the idea of a power slot. I've never heard it called a power slot, but I've been thinking about Denzel in the slot. It's not typical. You don't see a guy that big in the slot that often, But when you think about it, it's hard to get up and press a slot receiver. And since that's his fault for the time being for this year, maybe that's the place to put him. Because once he gets out into the route, once he gets going, because he's not only 6'3", he also has long legs. So that's his problem. He has a high center of gravity. The thing that Michael Carter has that makes him special is a low center of gravity. And so he can get those extra yards because of that. Well, Denzel has the opposite problem. He has a high center of gravity. So he's not going to be as quick on his feet. He's going to have to work on that.
Yeah, look, and I just think that's why people thought, I think Denzel wasn't going to run that fast at the combine, was because he's such a long strider. And sometimes you go, oh, that dude's just kind of jogging out there, but he's actually going extremely quickly. I think that plays into the route running a little bit. Some people think he's slow in his routes sometimes. But yeah, I think you're right. I think twitch, change of direction, those things aren't his forte, but he's still a good enough route runner. And you saw against the Patriots in that, I think it was Monday Night Football with Sam Darnold and Joe Flacco, against the Broncos, against the Miami Dolphins. He had some good catches on crossing routes over the middle of the field. The dude took some licks against the Dolphins that game late in the season. He made some nice, tough catches. Look, it's going to be a tough mountain to climb for Denzel, because you saw in the preseason when I was down on Mike LaFleur, a lot of it was because at Green Bay that week of practice, he was out there calling out Mekhi Becton and Denzel Mims publicly. They weren't fans of him early. So this stuff isn't going anywhere. Mike LaFleur's done a really nice job the last 2 months. Is he going to be able to win them back and get back in their good books? I think that could be an issue for him.
I know, it's so interesting because I was right. I remember that, and I was thinking the same stuff. There seems to be those little kind of divides taking place, and those are the two names that I was paying attention to as well during that. And I'd like to see them just put it all behind you, man, and let's just work together. You know, for us fans, it's all we want. You know, we don't need any more of this baloney. We really don't. But I want to tell everybody in the chat, we have Luke for just about 15 more minutes, maybe a few minutes less. This rest of the show, I'd like to hear what you guys want to ask him. I'm going to start with Justin Jets. So don't forget, if you have a question for Luke, put it in the chat. We'll scan the chat and we will get your questions up as best we can. So Justin wants to know, do you think we need to draft, and he means a wide receiver, he corrected himself later. Do you think we need to draft a wide receiver early in the draft or spend for a very good one in free agency? How would you attack it?
Look, I don't see the Jets taking a wide receiver in the first round. I think that, look, if a guy like Burks happened to somehow slip to the early second round, the Jets may snap him up there. I think he's going to go in the first round. This is the kid out of Arkansas I'm talking about. But I anticipate the Jets look to address it similar to the guard position in that second to third round kind of area. And they look to bring in a slot guy in the offseason in free agency and bring in a vet, kind of what they did with Keelan Cole this year to compete with the group. But I anticipate them taking a wide receiver in the middle of the draft. I don't see them taking one early. They already took Elijah Moore and spent capital there. While Zach Wilson's development is the most important thing to this NFL football team, they need defensive players. They just don't have the horses on defense. So I think you'll see defensive approach heavy early in the 2022 draft, and then you'll see the right guard, the wide receiver start to come off the board.
Interesting. Yeah, you know, would you be upset if you saw them take a wide receiver in the first? Like maybe we trade back a little bit and we grab a wide receiver. You'd be fine?
Yeah, I wouldn't be upset at all. I just don't think it's Joe Douglas's MO. I don't see him doing it. But in saying that, hey, if you give me an elite talent on the outside to put with Corey Davis and Elijah Moore, and then you see Zach Wilson start to develop, and that group, kind of like what we've seen in Cincinnati with Tyler Boyd and Higgins, and now getting Jamar Chase, there's no way fans can be upset with that. It's a sexy pick. It's offense. You know what they're like, Greenbean. Every time you talk offense, the chat goes crazy. Everyone has questions. They love it. That's what fans do. That's how we are. So I definitely wouldn't complain. I just don't see it happening.
All right. Well, good answer. So Mark Riz, what's up, Mark? Good to have you, buddy. He says, hey, Luke, is there anything the Jets can do in pregame warmups to get Zach starting fair? That's a great question. What do you think of that? Is there anything we could do before the game starts to get Zach's, kind of snapped into the game quicker?
It's been a huge issue, really, outside of that one game. He started okay against New England the second time before he got injured. Outside of that, and then when they had the opening drive touchdown a couple of weeks ago against Philadelphia, and he had that really good start with 3 touchdowns in 3 drives, first time since 2014 against Green Bay, he really struggled in the first quarter. Everybody knows that. But there are things you can do. I mean, there's different approaches you can take as a quarterback coach, as John Beck. But more than anything, I attribute it to, and they talked about it today, being in the wrong place with his eyes and his feet being a little bit behind. I don't think it's because Zach Wilson isn't ready to play, or because he's not mentally switched on, or because he hasn't done the right steps in his pre-game routine. I think these athletes are really well equipped to get themselves prepared for that opening snap. I just think it's a lack of confidence. There's mental errors, and he looks nervous. That's the biggest thing for me. He gets out in games, and it looks like his first instinct is don't make a mistake. Don't throw an early interception. Don't put your team in a bad position.
Right.
And it's like when you say, don't think about a pink elephant. What's the first thing your mind does? You try and picture a pink elephant. That's just the way we as humans operate. And it's that negative thought process, I think, that's been a bigger barrier for Zach starting games than actually the pre-game warm-up. In saying that, I'm sure the Jets can do different things. They can have him doing different drills, different intensity. They change those things around. But all in all, I think it's more mental than anything else.
Well, it's interesting because, Frankie, AC suggests maybe a little cocaine. What do you think? Would that work?
I would say that's probably contraindicated with quality play, but then again, there was Lawrence Taylor. So
there you go. I was going to say it worked for LT, didn't it?
Yep.
Hank G wants to know, how big of a need is cornerback in comparison to all the other holes? You mentioned a little bit before, maybe we're one cornerback away, but when you compare it to the other needs that we have, where do you see cornerback fitting?
I don't think it's the biggest need, but in saying that, it's such an important position on the football field that when you factor in positional scarcity, positional importance, and what, the most important positions are on the field, left tackle, let's just call it tackles, edge, corner, quarterback, wide receiver, that lifts the need for the Jets. Even though it's not their biggest hole, because of that and because of the importance of the corner position, it raises that automatically. Right guard is a bigger need for the Jets, but which impact is going to have a greater effect on your football team? If you get an above average right guard, or if you get a possible top 5 prospect like Derek Stingley, or even later in the draft, a guy like Sauce Gardner out of Cincinnati, what has a bigger impact on your team? I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer, but I think the fact that cornerback is a premium position puts more of an impetus on the Jets to fill that hole at cornerback 1, for lack of a better word. But realistically, I think we all agree that corner isn't the biggest need on this roster. Right guard, possibly edge, depending on what you think Lawson can come back and be next year. You just don't know, coming off an Achilles. Safety, obviously, is a huge hole. So, look, we'll see. I don't think it's the biggest need, but I think it's a very important one still.
Yeah. It's interesting, man. Just like you said with the wide receiver, it's like, I don't look at that as a dire need, but man, is the idea of grabbing a Sauce Gardner, or grabbing, just like one of these really dynamic players, these blue chips for those positions, I wouldn't be upset. I really wouldn't be upset. I'm hoping for an edge though myself. Watu-K has an interesting question. I didn't even see this one coming. He wants to know, would you resign Marcus May? What do you think about all that, Luke?
It got a little messy in the middle part of the season, well, even earlier than that. Before the draft, you had Eric Burkhardt, I believe his agent is. He came out and said that his play would be healthy to come out and get traded at the deadline. Marcus May obviously then came back, unfortunately tore the Achilles. You never want to see those things happen to a player, no matter what their agent says or what you think about them. It was terrible luck, and as a Jets fan, it was a big blow for this defense. I don't think Marcus is back here. I think the Jets aren't going to franchise tag him again. That's obviously off the table. They're not going to pay him $18, $19 million. That's not going to happen. And as much as the Jets may want to bring him back, which, to be honest, I don't think they necessarily do, wasn't named as a team captain, hasn't really been on the field that much the last 2 years. Marcus May doesn't want to come back. I'm almost certain that he's going to want to take his trade somewhere else, to go to a better football team, to go to a better defense. What's the incentive for Marcus to come back when he can get just as much money somewhere else and be happier? He clearly hasn't been satisfied here since Jamal left. I think it's going to be better for everyone if they just part ways amicably, and that's what I expect to see in the offseason.
Yeah, that's an interesting one too, man. I mean, I thought that I think Marcus had some legitimate value, but then with the DUI thing, the lying to us and the NFL, then the Achilles, it seems like, I don't know, this safety class is too deep to go digging into our old wounds. So our last one for you, and then I'll let you get out of here. Rusty Spooner What's up, Rusty? Good to see you. He says, hey, Luke, what do you know about Daniel Falele? Do you know anything about that 400-pound tackle coming into the
Look,
league this year?
I've seen the splash plays. You see the highlights. He is.
Yeah.
I think Mekhi Becton's a big guy. Try looking at him on tape. I haven't dived into him a ton. I just know that there's always going to be a predisposition for these 400, 380-pound athletes to be beaten around the corner with speed. That's what makes Mekhi Becton such a unicorn, and that's why I compare him to Trent Brown. Is his feet are so elite for a guy of that size. I don't think he has the same foot speed that Mekhi Becton has, and he's then 30 pounds heavier. Look, I think he'll get drafted for sure. I'm not sure whether he becomes an upper echelon player at the tackle position. Time will kind of tell, but I don't anticipate him being on the Jets, and I don't anticipate him going too early.
Yeah. I don't know. I think, right, it's more like it almost seems like a novelty act, doesn't it? And that's with no intended disrespect to the man. But at the same time, it just feels like, I don't know if I want to grab a 400-pound lineman just because he's 400 pounds. I mean, that's not the way to do it, I don't think. So, hey, Luke, man, I want to thank you. You're getting some positive comments in the chat. I think it was great. And I appreciate you being here. I'd love to have you on again. You know, it's interesting too, because we've been going on at 9 o'clock for the past 6 months or so, 5 months. And this was the first night we moved it back to 8. So it looked like we had a little bit thinner of a chat in the beginning, which is unfortunate because I think that you had some really great stuff to say. I thoroughly enjoy your content, and I'd love to have you on again, man. But I really do appreciate you coming on. Is there anything that you want to let anybody know about that you have coming up, a big video, anything like that you want to let us know?
Just keep an eye on the YouTube. You're going to see Zach Wilson reviews every single week. I know we haven't touched too much on him, which is probably a good thing because Jets Twitter needs to breathe on Zach for a couple of weeks, I think, and let that rest. But you're going to see a Zach Wilson review every single week. I've got one dropping in the next 24 hours, looking back at the game last week, some of the inaccuracies. So that's kind of what's going to be a feature. And then as I'm getting my hands on more All-22, there's going to be a lot of college stuff. A lot of the guys we've touched on today, we're going to see these breakdowns on just these 5 to 7 minute videos so you can kind of get an idea of where I'm at on the player. But I appreciate you having me on. You guys do amazing work, GreenBean. Frankie, thank you so much for having me. Show's always great. You've got such a great support over here on social media and on YouTube, and it's pretty easy to see why. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, right on. So, guys, this is Luke Grant from Play Like a Jet. You can find them just by typing in those words all over the internet. Again, one of the better content creators as far as breakdowns and all that jazz goes. And look, his voice is silky smooth and he sounds all great because of his accent too. So that has value as well. But Luke, thanks again, man. You have a great night.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. See ya.
So what do you think of that, Frankie? What do you think of this Luke Grant character? And, you know, he had some nifty things to say. You know, we didn't talk about Zach by design, I think it was.
You know, we threw a lot at him and we didn't really tell him what was coming, at least as far as I'm aware. And he knows his stuff. I mean, I think you could see that he really knows his stuff no matter what we threw at him. You know, he had a very, well thought out answer and a very educated answer about anything we threw at him. And I can say I've watched a bunch of his videos and they're all great. So I would recommend for everybody, you know, if you want to see some nice film breakdowns, you know, he's one of the go-to guys you go to for the Jets anyways.
Yeah. I stumbled on him. It's weird. Like with these guys, sometimes you just see a guy here or there and you go, oh, that was good. And then you don't see him for a while. I stumbled on him. I feel like it was 2 years ago. And then I listened to a podcast and I'm like, oh, that's that guy. And it all pieced together. And for the past, maybe, I got to say year, I've been listening to him or watching him pretty consistently. And like you said, man, he knows his stuff. And, all I told him was that we'd like to get your overall take on the progression of the players and positions as we go. And that's all I said to him. And he's like, yeah, man, that'll be great. You know, so Luke Grant, everybody, Play Like a Jet. Please go over and give him a follow. If not, just give him a watch, man. I think that you'll be the beneficiary if you were to go over and watch him. He does great stuff. So, Frankie, a lot of people in here, John Salty comes in. I mentioned the hour time change, and Salty looks a bit salty. So that's why I'm late, man. Like you screwed me over here. Green bean savings time. So I don't think I did too good of a job of letting anyone know because I didn't let anyone know. So that's probably the issue. What do you think?
I mean, salty nuts, you got to keep up with things, salty nuts. I mean, things change. People have things going on in their lives, and you got to stay on top of it, salty nuts.
Salty nuts Magoo.
Salty
So
nuts,
yes,
Magoo.
right. So I am sorry about that, guys. We're gonna move it to 8 moving forward for the foreseeable future. I changed it to 9 because of my son's football schedule. So I just could literally physically could not make it at 8, so we moved it to 9. But now I can, and I figure, hey, let's try to get to bed earlier. What do you know what I mean? I'm up every
Yeah.
friggin' night until midnight. I can't do that anymore, Frank. So
Sleep is important.
it is, man. It is. So after that 1 hour segment, and we're going to bring Watu on in a few minutes as well, and we're going to talk about the Miami game with him. But what were some of your takeaways as far as what he said about the offensive line and even C.J. Mosley? What are you feeling after that segment about those pieces of the team?
Well, I think, the thing I liked the most was the discussion about the offensive line. This is something I talk about on my channel all the time. I think it's the most important position group other than quarterback. And he had some really nice things to say where, George Fant's development, which, has been probably the surprise of the season. So, we talk about Coach Odin, but we got to talk about Coach Benton as well, the offensive line coach. And you gotta, you gotta heap praise upon George Fant, and you have to heap praise upon Coach Benton and that staff, because that is really something where, I know there's a debate about, okay, does Makai go to the right or does he go to the left? And, Luke was saying, well, you got to keep Makai on the left because his potential is so high. No matter what his grades were last year, it doesn't matter because his potential is just so high based on his technique. And that's something I've been saying on my channel. And then, okay, if you move George Fant over to the right and he can play at this level over there, then we really have something because we got AVT, we got McGovern, and then all we got to worry about is the right guard. Now, I also liked what he's had to say about LDT. He was talking about LDT being a mauler in the run game. And his passing grades, he had one game where PFF didn't give him a good grade passing wise, and I disagreed with it. I went back and looked at the tape, watched him specifically every single play, and I gave him a better grade in my mind because all of the things he screwed up on were in the fourth quarter, and he was his first game back, and he's learning the system, and he's got to get into shape.
Yeah.
He hadn't taken a snap in 2 years, and then he's making mistakes, but they're all in the fourth quarter. So to me, that means, that's what it is. But then after that, his pass blocking grades have been fine. And I've looked at him and he seems fine to me too, to my eyes. We do both. We look at the data. We look at the game. And so to me, that means that LDT could very well be the answer at right guard. And that means, somebody's mentioning Brandon Scherf in the chat. And I like Brandon Scherf a lot out of Washington. He's most likely, Adam, not going to be franchise tagged again. He's going to be too expensive. They could do it, but it's going to be so expensive. It's thought that he's going to hit the open market. So if we don't have to spend the money on him, because Brandon Scherf is an all pro right guard, all pro, and you're going to have to pay, you're going to have to pay him a lot of money. LDT, we could probably extend for maybe even half of what we'd have to pay Brandon Scherf. So if he's the answer, Joe Douglas could come to that conclusion early and say, okay, look, the LDT 2-year extension, George Fant 2-year extension, and I got my line, and McGovern 2-year extension. I got my line for the next 2-3 years. And that's exciting because it means we don't need Evan Neal and we could use all our draft picks on this defense that's the worst in the league. And to me, that is really exciting. And it's kind of what I've been theorizing about and thinking about, wondering, and Luke kind of just confirmed all of my highest aspirations for this offensive line. So it's kind of exciting.
Well, you know what they say about great minds. That's why I'm so big on griping intelligently, because when you do, you tend to find what do they say? Water seeks its own level, right? So like when you're in the fray and everybody's calling each other ugly because of some player in a game, now we hate each other on Twitter. It's hard to get anything done. But when you calm it down and talk about things after intelligently just taking a few minutes to observe, you can find out, wait a minute, I'm not alone here. I'm not crazy. And what I liked about LDT was especially in that first game, was even when he made the mistakes, even when he got like somebody got a step on him, he didn't give up on, like, he kept his
Right.
hands on the guy.
Yes.
So even though
Yeah.
there was pressure, it wasn't like GVR where the guy, he just kind of lets him go and the guy runs
Yeah.
in clean and just attacks the quarterback. LDT was able to, after some significant pressure, still get his guy away from
Yeah.
the quarterback. And
Right.
that would be considered a pressure. So that goes in his negative column. But at the same time, it's really not a negative because of the way that he was able to recapture and kind of come back from the mistake. And that, I like guys like that. It's, it's that never give up attitude. And I think Dr. Blocker would be a good guy to keep around as well. I think, hey man, throw him a 2-year extension. Let him know what we got going on here. Zach's going to be fine. Look, he's throwing balls into the dirt. 8-year-olds make that pass. So he's going to be fine. He's just overthinking it. So I think we're going to be good. Now we had some stuff in here. I saw one that I wanted to throw at you. Somebody was mentioned. Oh, well, as far as Scherf too, you know what the problem I have with Scherf? I've heard you talk about him quite a few times on your channel, and Scherf scares the hell out of me. He's been injured every single year, at least for the past 3, and that includes this year. Now a couple games here, a couple games there. But if you're going to pay someone $19 million, hypothetically, something like that, wouldn't you want it to be a guy that has a better chance of playing every game? Now, Becton, we can call him injury prone if we want. Like we like to say, he has not had one injury that has anything to do with his weight or his body size and the stuff that everybody's concerned about. He got rolled on, and last year he had a shoulder thing. I'm not really all that concerned. I think he's going to come back. But a guy like Scherf, he's been in the league a minute, and he's been hurt almost every single year, if not every year. What do you think about that? Does that not spook you a little bit for where you want to throw your money?
Yeah, it's his age and his injury history. But the reason I bring him up is just because he's the best quality guard in the market. There's nobody like him. So if you're going to say it's not LDT and we're not going to draft Evan Neal, then you almost, where are you going to go? I mean, you can't find somebody of that quality. You're going to have to pay, and he's probably going to miss a couple of games a year. That's kind of what he does. But, maybe you can live with that but I don't love it. I would like LDT. I mean, I think, that my preferred line is, I guess, and I don't really, whichever way Coach Benton wants to play the tackles, I defer to Coach Benton. But either way, Becton, AVT, McGovern, LDT, and Fant, I say that's my line. Then we could draft someone in the 3rd round. We need to draft the pipeline. We got Cam Clark coming back. We got GVR for another year. He's here. I mean, people don't like him. I know people are saying things about GVR in the chat, and I don't like him either, but he is under contract for next year. So as a backup, it's not terrible. And then we got Cam Clark, hopefully coming back from his injury, and we got Chuma Edoga, and we got Isaiah Williams, and we got and then
Connor
we draft
McDermott
one
at the tackle.
Connor McDermott. We draft one more, to add into the mix, and that's some depth right there. So that's the way I'd prefer to go, and then we don't have to pay that much, and then we got more money to spend elsewhere, like on a linebacker, maybe somebody could tackle somebody.
Yeah, one of those guys at a serious hole elsewhere, and I want to say how much I don't appreciate you mentioning Ross Pierschbacher. I know that
we do have
yes, we do, and you take great efforts, you make great strides toward not mentioning him.
I did forget about him. That's right. He's on our practice squad. He's on the P squad. He's there, and I guess he's never been elevated or anything. So that's why Isaiah Williams came to mind more readily, because he's on the inactives list at least.
Right. And it's funny, man. Ross Pierschbacher, he played center and guard at Alabama. Now, he was never like elite or anything, but he was always solid. He was somebody that I wanted really bad with the Wesco pick, and we didn't do it. And I was very upset. I ended up liking Wesco, but that was not the guy that I wanted in that position. So I'm really hoping, like you said, with John Benton. John Benton's been around for 40 years, man. He's created some exceptional offensive lines. The problem with him is that he does tend to have those periods of time where his offensive line looks lost. 2 years ago in San Francisco, a lot of fans were calling for him to be, or 3 years ago, for him to be cut, for him to be fired. And then he came back and they looked better, and there's like an ebb and flow and up and down to him, which is kind of spooky. But you made a great point, man. If Fant alone if he was able to take George Fant, who again was a tight end, played a handful of snaps at tackle. Last year was at right tackle. This year in an emergency came into left tackle and has been one of the best left tackles in the NFL. If we can credit that to Benton, then, we might want to consider that guys like Isaiah Williams and Ross Pierschbacher and Connor McDermott and Chuma Edoga, they can all benefit from this guy's tutelage as well. And we might just have a nice pipeline begun, Frankie. It might already have begun. And it's a shame with Cam Clark, because in my opinion, that was the guy that they hoped won the job. They were going to give him every opportunity to win the job this year. I ended up getting that very severe spinal injury, and we know what happens. And his career might be over. We simply don't know. But I'd like to see him in the mix as well, and maybe be able to come back from that, and in 3-4 years, whatever, be our starting right guard. Who knows? But it would be nice to think that we have some of the pipeline developed and begun. And then, like you said, use a third, use a fourth every single year, bring in the guy that needs a little work and give it to him. And then when it's time for these high-priced, expensive guys to get paid, we let them go, get the comp pick, the new guys already ready to go. And that's the way to do it, Frank. That's the way to do it. So John Salty Nuts McCringle is saying that McGovern is the 8th best center in the league right now. Hard to believe he can't handle stunts whatsoever. Do you think that's the case, or do you think a lot of that was more GVR, a little bit of kind of randomness around him at the guard position, ABT learning, GVR sucking, and that sort of stuff?
It's really hard to tell unless you actually know what the blocking scheme is, one, which maybe Salty Nuts does know when he watches the film. I don't know. But number two, then how is the communication? Maybe he's trying to cover for someone making a mistake, like ABT's a rookie. Maybe ABT's making a mistake and McGovern's trying to help him out, in a given situation. Or maybe GVR is just being GVR and he's trying to help him out, that sort of thing. That's why, especially for the offensive line, it's really hard, I think, unless you're an expert, to figure out what these guys are doing. I rely on the PFF grades to a degree, but I also watch a lot of Brandon Thorne videos and things of that nature. And I would recommend his Substack if you want to learn about offensive line play. But I'm trying to learn more about offensive line play because I find it fascinating, number one. And number two, it's the hardest to, it's easy to tell if a running back's doing good. Is he running down the field? No. Oh, he's not so good. Is he running down the field? Yes. Oh, he's real good. Right. And same thing with wide receiver. Is he catching the ball? No. Oh, he's not so good. Is he catching the ball? Yes. Okay, he's good. On quarterbacks, it's easy to see, but offensive line, it's hard to know because there's a lot going on. You don't know who's really responsible for what for the most part, unless if a guy's coming around beating the left tackle all the time, you could see that pretty easy. But it's hard to tell. I don't know. So I would trust PFF in that regard, at least for these offensive linemen to some degree. They're not perfect. They're not the Bible. I always say standard caveats. Some people call me standard caveat Frankie, because I always say that, these PFF grades, they're not the Bible. We look at them, we use them. They're a tool in our toolkit, but for offensive line, it's unless you're a Brandon Thorne or somebody like that, it's hard to know.
Yeah, right. It's like, I like when you say, hey, it might not be the best, but it's what we have. You know what I mean? So we can use it, as a tool. It's not the end all. A lot of people think it is. They go, oh, yeah, well, look at this. And it's like, yeah, but. Now, Go Hangard is saying something that I've been hearing a lot these past months as a diesel truck drives by me. Let me ask you, how loud is that diesel truck? Do you hear it?
Yeah, we can hear it.
Okay. All right. I'm wondering. Maybe they can't hear it. No, we hear it. So he says that we should have drafted Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith. Now, there's a lot of cry for that, but I want to point out, and then you can chime in with your opinions. If I want to make sure that everybody understands that if we took Creed Humphrey, we don't have Elijah Moore. I just want to make sure that's clear. Now, you might prefer Creed Humphrey to Elijah Moore. In truth, I would have taken Creed Humphrey over Elijah Moore because I wasn't looking for a wide receiver with that pick. So that is what it is. But you got to remember, you can't have everybody in a draft. You can't. And it's very easy to say, we shoulda. But if we took Creed Humphrey, we don't have Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore was our second round pick. Creed Humphrey was considered a reach at that point, a slight reach. but a reach nonetheless. He was taken later in the second round. Now, maybe if we didn't trade our third for AVT, but picking Creed Humphrey there after using 3 picks to take the best guard in the league seems unlikely. It doesn't seem like we're going to use 4 of our draft picks to draft 2 players and leave holes everywhere else. So, but that's the easiest way to say it with Creed Humphrey, is that we took Elijah Moore over Creed Humphrey. That's the way that it went. So I don't think too many people can legitimately gripe about Elijah Moore being a pick and being a player on this team. Now, as far as Trey Smith, a lot of people don't seem to remember that there were serious health concerns with him. Trey Smith was considered a first-round talent, and he slipped all the way to pick 225. So the team that did take him, even though he's playing great at the moment, the team that took him, that was considered a flyer. That's what that was. Now, at the time, we had a 3-person battle for the right guard spot. We had Alex Lewis, Greg Van Roten, and Cam Clark. We already put draft pick capital into that, as well as trade capital, as well as cap capital. So we had 3 guys for the guard position. There were other holes on the team, namely the cornerbacks. That's why we had no cornerbacks. We had Bryce Hall and Blesson Austin. That's all we had. So we needed to get cornerbacks. They wanted to go the young route. So when you look at it, there is a logic there. It's very easy to say, hey, Trey Smith, he's looking great, but we don't know. This guy, I mean, don't forget, his health concerns were blood clots and all that kind of stuff. 224 picks went by before somebody was willing to take a flyer on him. So obviously it was serious. And the team that did, hey, they look like they got lucky there. They got a hit. And that's great. The truth is, though, is that I don't think Joe Douglas is in the game to take those kinds of risks. He's looking for things a little bit more certain. And again, he was filling a hole that was much more severe at the moment than our right guard spot. What do you have for those 2 comments there, Frank? Any thoughts?
Well, Trey Smith had blood clots in the lungs. So if we would have drafted him, people would have been going nuts. How could we take a guy with blood clots in the lungs? And don't forget, it was also the COVID season, so we didn't have the same access to players and medical, information that we normally do. Our scouts weren't able to travel as much to figure all that out. So there's I'm pretty sure that most teams had Trey Smith crossed off their list completely just because they didn't have enough information. Blood clots in the lungs. I'm not taking that chance. Now, the Chiefs are a Super Bowl team. The Chiefs can take a chance. The Chiefs, needed offensive line very badly, and they are a Super Bowl team that doesn't have the needs that we do, or that a lot of teams do. So they could take a flyer on a Trey Smith. It makes sense for them. I don't think it would make sense for us. Blood clots in the lungs? No, thank you. Now, it's worked out great for Trey Smith, and you feel happy for the player, Trey Smith. It's worked out great. He won the starting job. He's done a fantastic job since he's been in there. Good job, Trey Smith. Creed Humphrey, I'm pretty sure I was thinking that they probably were high on Creed Humphrey, but they were shocked that Elijah Moore was there. Don't forget, Elijah Moore was one of 16 players rated at an elite level in the draft, and we got 3 of them. And Elijah Moore's one, and Creed Humphrey was not one. Now, Creed Humphrey has played fantastically, and he's been wonderful for the Chiefs also. Kind of coincidentally. But Creed Humphrey went where he went, and he went to a winning team, and again, they're a Super Bowl contending team, and good job for Creed Humphrey. But I think they just saw Elijah Moore and thought, we got McGovern, we got Alex Lewis, we got Cam Clark, we got GVR, I'm good on, I don't have a huge need, they thought, and I can get an Elijah Moore, an elite player at 32 or 33, whatever it was. Okay, I got to get Elijah Moore because he's elite. Elite meaning there's 16 elite players, and he's available at 32. Oh, that you can't pass up that value. I think that's what they thought, and I can't argue with that kind of a process. I mean, now Creed has worked out well. Good for Creed, and Trey feel great for Trey. I mean, he had a very serious medical issue, and he's overcome it, and he's playing well. So I feel great for a guy like Trey Smith.
Yeah, and so I think we're on the same page. Look, it's disappointing when there are players that we liked and we wanted the Jets to take them and they didn't. Yeah. But what we have to really remember here is that in years past, it wasn't missing out on Creed Humphrey for Elijah Moore. It was missing out on Orlando Pace for for James Farrier or Dedrick Ward. Like it, you know what I mean? It was passing up the Deshaun Watson for the Jamal Adams. Like that's the difference. There is a major difference between missing out on Creed because you took one of the 16 elite players in the draft, as opposed to what we're used to seeing. So we got to remember that, man. It's like, you know, like again, you can't have everybody. Yeah. I mean, when you have 9 or 10 picks, that's considered a lot. 250 players get picked, and we have usually 7. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of players you're not going to get. So Boogie, what's that? Go on, Frank.
I was just going to say, and I don't know what the use is of being so concerned about what we should have done. Like, why are we thinking about last year's draft and what should have been? What use is that? Well,
it's the
what good does that do us? I mean, you think about it. Okay, all right, maybe we should have done that, but then you move on. I mean,
yeah,
we have who we have who we have. You know.
I know. I think we get reminded watching games. Both of those players are on the field right now, so sometimes you can't help it. You know, I fill a therapist role, Frankie. So people like to vent in my office. They're on my chair, and that's okay. But I hear you. Right. So Boogie Down Bronx, I want to thank you for the super chat, my friend. I do appreciate it. He says, yeah, but what about if Becton gets hurt again next year and you have to move Fant back to left tackle? Who will be the right guard then? I think he might mean right tackle then. And that's something. So what do you think about that? So let's say Becton's on the left, Fant's on the right. Becton gets hurt again, as has been, as it has been the last 2 years. Fant gets thrown back on the left side. Who's playing right tackle? Or do you keep Fant on the right side and use somebody else? What do you think happens in that scenario?
Well, Chuma Edoga is a backup, and this is where our idea about resiliency and backups come into play. And you need to have, this is something that I've thought about a lot this year in terms of what we were thinking the Jets were this year and what they turned out to be instead. Part of the problem is we've had the same much an average number of injuries on our roster as everyone else has. You know, we're right in the middle. We're no worse than anybody else and no better. But our roster was so bad to begin with that we couldn't withstand the loss of a Carl Lawson, LaMarcus Joyner, Marcus May, Jamian Sherwood, all these people lost, Vinnie Curry, all the Mekhi Becton, people we lost couldn't withstand it as much as other teams because our 1 to 53 wasn't as good to begin with. And this is what we talk about depth, having lots of depth everywhere, 1 through 53. So we need a guy like Chuma Edoga to stay healthy and be a good backup. So when a guy gets hurt, you plug in Chuma Edoga. And if he gets hurt, then you plug in Connor McDermott. If he gets hurt, you plug in the next one, Isaiah Williams. You got to have 1 through 53 plus the practice squad. I mean, football's a game of attrition. That's what it is. And that's why you can't build rosters the way that Mike Maccagnan tried to build his roster. And we still have the money that we're paying those people. We still have dead money we're paying to Trumaine Johnson and Le'Veon Bell and this one and that one. We're still paying them. They're not here. They're not helping us.
Yeah.
Where are they? They're not even playing half the time, and we're paying the money. And that counts against the cap. So you have to be smart about the cap at all times. That's why Joe Douglas cut Jamison Crowder's salary. That's why he cut Alex Lewis's salary. He cut these people. And that's why, because it's a game of attrition. You're going to need to sign players. You're going to need to find a Leroy Reynolds to come into the team off the field, off the street. You're going to need to sign a BJ Goodson, have him come in and then retire all of a sudden for no reason. And nobody still knows why that happened. I'd like an explanation of BJ Goodson. Someone, can we talk about BJ Goodson, please? What happened? We sign a guy and then he decides, no, thank you. I'm going to retire. Well, why? Why even come here?
I don't know.
Could have told us that beforehand, but it's all about depth, really, is the answer.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And, Dean Britton, to follow this up, he says, as a diesel truck, hold on, I got diesel truck and dogs. Hold on. So I think I'm going to talk through it. He's driving away. Okay. So he says, has Chuma gotten to a reasonable performance level now? And what I can say, Dean, Chuma Edoga did come in. Remember, Becton obviously has been hurt, and Fant went down. Chuma Edoga came in and played brilliantly. He played a very good. Yeah. So the thing with Chuma, so far so good. Now, Chuma Edoga was a guy that even though he was not the lineman that I wanted, I was very happy that Maccagnan decided to finally draft a damn offensive lineman. We used a 3rd-round pick. Interestingly enough, Maccagnan also, I don't know if a lot of people don't remember this, but we were 2 picks away. Mike Maccagnan decided to trade up to the next pick. He gave up his 7th-round pick to trade up one pick for guess who? Chuma y mother effing Doga. So that's what he did. He was in a panic. He thought everybody was clamoring to get him, and he freaked out. He spooked himself and gave away his 7th-round pick, and he took Chuma Edoga. Now, Chuma Edoga is a very versatile lineman. He played center, he played guard, he played tackle in college. And then when he came in, he was really said to be at best at right tackle. When he came in that year, there were some injuries. He came in and he played a full game at right tackle. Everyone was singing his praises. He gave up no pressures, no sacks. It was fantastic. In the next game, which was Cleveland, he was on the right side. Beachum went down. They moved him over to the left side, and Myles Garrett had his way with Chuma Edoga. He was already having his way with Beachum too. And so Chuma Edoga went to the left side, got beat up. Then they moved him back to the right side. He was still he was all shaky and shit. They were moving him back and forth. Then he got injured. So the truth is that Chuma Edoga is a good player. He's worth having on your team. And again, when you see like John Benton and what he can do, I think Chuma is one of the main types of guys that would be a beneficiary of a coach like John Benton. And we saw it when he came in. The thing is, guys, I think this is the year Chuma Edoga goes out and gets a starting role somewhere. I think that he's been sitting around long enough. He has a resume. He's known as a good player, a good role model type guy. When's the last peep we've heard from Chuma Edoga? You don't even know he's on the team until he comes in. No problems, no drama, hard worker, big and strong, incredibly versatile. And then this year came in and looked pretty good. I think Chuma Edoga is going to be hard to keep if we're intending on keeping him as a backup. I'd love to see it. I would love to see Chuma Edoga signed to like a 3 or 4 year extension on the cheap. I would love it if he's okay with that. But the truth is, I think we're going to lose him. But like Frankie's saying, that's why depth is so incredibly important. I mean, look at what Joe Douglas did just this year, Frankie. We lost our starting left tackle, and we still had 2 starting tackles on the squad. You know what I'm saying? So even though the guards, look, we lost Alex Lewis to retirement and Cam Clark to a spinal injury, and we still had a starting guard. Granted, he ended up not being very good, and he was never going to be that great to begin with, but we still had an NFL-level starting guard on our team. So he's only been here 5 minutes, Joe Douglas. Really, he's only had 2 drafts, guys, and we've already had enough depth to keep starting-level quality on the line with only really right guard popping up as a true weakness. Do you agree?
Yeah, and I think it's fascinating because, you never stop acquiring talent. That's why I really like looking at these guys in the practice squad that we pick up, like a Leroy Reynolds or a Ross Pierschbacher or an Isaiah Williams. These guys you pick up, or Nick Bawden. I started talking about Nick Bawden on the channel because I thought it was fascinating. We pick up this guy. Nobody's talking about him. He's a fullback. LaFleur seemed to love 21 personnel at that time. And I said, oh, look, we got an actual fullback. And then he was on the practice squad for a while and nobody talking about him. And then he gets elevated and now he's on the 53 man. And he didn't play much in the last game, but it's still kind of fascinating. And that's why you have to just continually build the roster, always looking for upgrades, always looking for someone to come in. We just picked up a wide receiver named Tariq Black, for example, is another guy we might want to talk about. This is a guy who has some skills. This is a guy who was a somebody in college. He went to Michigan, then he wound up at Texas, and he had injuries. And the injuries are what kept him down. But he's got some skills, and the Colts had him and released him, and now he's on our practice squad. And with all the injuries at wide receiver, he's a guy who might be able to come in and do some things because he had some talent before the injuries.
Yeah. Well, right. I mean, I like that you mentioned Bawden too. And, this whole 21 personnel thing, it's weird. I mean, look, when you take your heart and your emotions out of this thing this year, you can clearly see this is a group of guys trying to figure it out. I mean, they're trying all sorts of different things. They're committed to this for 2 weeks, and then you never see it again. Like, that's what's going on. Different guys in different positions. We see Tyler Croft on the outside, Brian Griffin on the outside. You see Wes Cohen, the fullback. Like, there are guys all over the place, and they're trying to figure it out because they've had myriad injuries all over the place. They have myriad rookies all over the place. They're rookies. So I think, again, if we just look at it, with a little bit less emotion, you can see that, look, maybe it is still disappointing. I mean, it would have been nice to see them maybe have another 2 victories, a couple of those closer games. Maybe if we could have squeaked 1 or 2 of those out, we'd feel a little bit better. But the truth is that these guys are clearly learning on the job, and they do show talent. LaFleur is one that you can put out front in that capacity. In the first month of the season, people literally wanted him gone. He needs to go right now. And since then, I think people feel a little bit different. Now, Zach's come back in. Last week was pretty rough, but even in the Eagles game, dude, Zach had his, he came out and threw 3 touchdown passes. It's like, I mean, we're getting there. He had 1,000, yards of offense with 3 different quarterbacks. It was actually 1,500 yards of offense with 3 different quarterbacks. So we're starting to see the talent is there. It's just going to take a minute for these guys to get their stuff ready. Now, I want to take a second and bring on Adam. Are you ready? I want to get into the Miami game here. Sorry it took a little bit longer to get to you, but I want to bring in Watu K99. Let's say hello to him, and we're going to see what the Miami Dolphins have in store. Because, guys, you might have forgotten with all the talk about Ross Pierschbacher that we have a game this week, and it's against none other than the Miami Dolphins. So first off, how you doing, man? What's going on with the Thursday night football game right now?
Pretty good. The Charger receiver getting hurt was really scary. The way that he was being taken out on a backboard, and his hands were, even though he was strapped down, his hands were up like this and they were shaking. It was pretty scary to watch. And yeah, Kansas City went ahead quickly, but the Chargers have rallied. They're up 14-10. Just finished off a 5-minute drive. We got 3:15 to go in the second quarter. We got a close game between 2 really good teams.
Super exciting. I wish I could watch it. I can't. And so that's why it's so nice that you take it upon yourself to update us. It's great, man. I appreciate that. I hope you know that. So, Adam, we got the Miami Dolphins this week. Now, we played them a few weeks ago, and we played them pretty well, actually. The truth is, I thought we could have won that game. And that was one of the more disappointing games for me, as far as really thinking we had it. I really thought that we could have beat them, and we didn't. So I was pretty disappointed that week. What have the Dolphins been able to do since our last time playing them? Are they doing okay? Are they what's their offense looking like? What are we looking at this week against the Dolphins?
Well, as we know, as most of us know, Miami has won 5 straight games, but let's hold off a little bit. 4 of those wins were against Houston, the Giants, the Jets, and the Panthers. This is not exactly murderer's row we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're coming off their bye, I think with this team, that's kind of a younger team, I think this is one of the worst things that could have happened to them. They got that momentum. I bet as soon as they won their last game, they wanted to go out and play right away. And as we know, they're getting hit hard with COVID. 2 of their running backs have tested positive, and another, Myles Gaskin, is on the reserve list. Also, Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle, just going to throw this in, 86 catches on 114 targets, 849 yards. Against the Jets specifically, he had 8 catches on 9 targets. He's 16 catches away from breaking Anquan Bolden's rookie record for most catches in a season by a rookie. And he's on the COVID list. He is what makes that offense go. Please, 2-yard Tua, as I heard Frankie call him on the video today. That was stellar. He's completed 71% of his passes, but he's averaging 7 yards per pass. This guy makes Mike White look like Dan Fouts in his prime. So, yeah, if you want to focus on the offense, I mean, even their running game, the running game is going to be really interesting. If all 3 of these running backs are out, I'm hearing that Duke Johnson may be a call-up. And the Dolphins have one of the worst running games in football. They're averaging 79 yards per game. That's 31st in the league. But when they played the Jets, they got 115 yards on the ground. So you can pretty much put that stat out the window. Yeah. But if you lose these 3 running backs, I mean, I feel like I have to say this every single week. This situation is in the Jets' favor. This is the time for this run defense to grow a pair. This is the time for them to make those stops. Well, this time I'm serious. If they can't stop this running game, I don't know what running game they could stop. They probably couldn't even stop the Georgia or the Alabama running attack at this rate if they can't stop this.
Well, we certainly couldn't stop the Saints. I thought that we were going to dial it up with Taysom Hill being the quarterback with a little, broken finger action going on. I thought we were just going to go, hey, every single defensive player, come to the line, stop the run. If we can't do, if Taysom Hill beats us otherwise, fine. But we're going to stop the run. And clearly we didn't do that. So let me ask you on a personal level, do you think that we're going to be able to do it? You think we're going to bounce back after getting our faces kicked in against the Saints, and we're going to be able to stop this less than stellar running attack from Miami?
At some point, you just have to ask yourself, if you're a professional athlete, where's your heart? Where's your pride? Where's your dignity? How much longer can you really stand to be a laughingstock, especially when you are supposed to be the alleged strength of this team? Now, with this defense, maybe we have some square pegs and round holes like Foley Fatukasi. Maybe he is more suited to, play the 3-4 as opposed to the 4-3. But we were talking early in the season, some of those advanced next-gen stats had him ranked as pretty much the top run defender in football. Well, I'm not seeing that lately. Sheldon Rankins, I'm definitely not seeing it from him. So do I think they'll be able to stop them? You know what? The running backs may not be the best in the world, but you still have to take on that Miami offensive line, which is halfway decent. So, you know what? Until I see them actually do it, I don't see any reason to believe that they will.
Oh, wow. That's such a astute take, Watsuke. I can't even believe it. Frankie, what do you think? Do you agree with Watsuke 99 over here? Do you think that you need to see it before you believe it, or are the Jets going to come out angry and do that thing they do once a year and stop somebody?
Well, I will take the opposite of what Adam said, but only because of this. The Dolphins don't really like to run. They're not a running team. That's not what they do. Tua doesn't run. Their running backs aren't that great in the first place. They're okay at it. What they like to do is throw short. So they call him 2-yard Tua because he just likes to get rid of the ball real quick and let Jalen Waddle and Mike Gesicki and Devontae Parker and all these guys they have do the work. And so their short game is really their running game. So even if we shut down the run game, they don't, and let's say they rush for 50, 60, 70 yards, and we say, yeah, we shut down the running game. Okay. But then they threw to Gesicki all day, and they threw to Parker all day, and they threw to this one and Matt Collins all day. And that's essentially their running game. And Tua, had 20 yards for scrambling. And so I think we could, in theory, shut down the run game, so to speak, but then not really stop them on defense, at the same time, because it's just not what they like to do. And with all these people out, I don't think they're going to do it that much. I think they're just going to rely, like I would say, Gesicki, Devontae Parker. Those are guys who could have huge games. And we've traditionally had a hard time stopping tight ends anyway. And Gesicki's a wide receiver He's a tight end in a wide receiver body. He's really a wide receiver. He's never in line. He's 5% of the time he's in line. So he's really a wide receiver. So he's going to get the ball a lot. Matt Collins going to get the ball a lot. Devontae Parker. So I think that's what they're going to do. So then the question is, how do we tackle those people? Michael Carter? I'd like to have linebackers that would be able to tackle people. So like if Quincy has one of his big games, like Luke was telling us, he's sort of up and down. If he has one of his up games, okay, we might be in business. If not, it could be a long day.
And remember,
let me say this.
Last time that they played, remember Quincy Williams had 15 tackles against the Dolphins. So we need good Quincy this week.
Yeah,
we do, Quincy. But I'm going to point out why that's unlikely. I'm glad you said that, Watsuke, because I just got this notification. Hear the story of Quincy Williams on tonight's episode of One Jets Drive. That is the kiss of death. Whoever it is that they open up and let us get to know, they're gone. Yeah,
just when we love you. Because I don't know about you guys, but when we see the person on One Jets Drive, I'm in love. AVT, Austin Walter, Corey Davis. I'm like, okay, these are my guys. That's just me. I mean, that AVT one was the best. I'm sorry, that thing with the helmet. Forget it. Awesome. I love AVT forever for now. I mean, now that's.
Well, there's a true talent on the New York Jets. I mean, nobody can deny we are a numero uno with our content development and presentation. I even fell in love with the groundskeeper at One Jets Drive. I mean, that guy, I'm like, I love him. This guy,
Yeah,
look how
can we
dedicated.
put him at the stadium, please? Can we put him at MetLife? Let him keep track of grass and dirt over there where we need it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Frankie, we have to. I know I mentioned this to you, and I never actually got to be able to do it. But Frankie has a video on his channel, kind of breaking down the different types of fields around the NFL, and the Jets use something called field turf. I don't know if you remember it off the top of your head, but at one point you at least knew the chemical compounds that make up field turf. I don't know if you can say that to us now. Can you?
It's rubber and silica dust, which is also toxic. It's ground up rubber. It's ground up tires, ground up sneakers, and they make it look like grass. This field they're playing on tonight is same thing, field turf. Because this is not in Kansas City. This is in LA, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's also field turf right there. And there's a guy who may be paralyzed because of field turf. We got to get rid of this field turf. And I am thinking that, let me know what you guys think. I'm thinking of doing a petition in the offseason, just saying we support the NFL Players Association's request to have all the fields be grass and dirt. And it's sort of like the fans support, the Players Association's urgent request of the owners to make all fields grass and dirt.
Yeah. Well, did they actually do that, Frankie, or are you trying to say that they should? I missed that.
This sounds hypothetical.
Yeah, I want to start.
Okay.
I want to start a petition, to say that, and then I'll try and get people to sign it, and maybe we could get lots of people to sign, and maybe that's how we could influence, our owners. We got 2 owners in our stadium. You'd think they could scrape 2 nickels together and get some field grass and dirt in the field.
I think they could, but I think our owners are the types of owners that just go, okay, well, what is it? You know what I mean? I don't know what to do. Like, they don't know. Like, that's the thing.
That's why we need the petition. We'll tell them.
Well, I think Wa2K and myself, we would sign it. Would you sign that, Adam? You think you'd sign a petition like that?
I think with all the maybe the UK has some geniuses in terms of rubber and horticulture and grass. Maybe this whole new marketing deal, we could get some insight from the UK. By the way, the Chargers, 15 seconds left, 2nd and goal from the Kansas City 5-yard line. They got the ball deep.
Oh, yeah? 15 seconds left when? In the whole game?
No. In the first half. It's only 9:43.
Okay. All right.
That's in the Eastern time.
I don't even know what.
It's early.
I'm telling you, I barely know what day it is.
Just dropped a touchdown. Oh my gosh, that would have been a walk-in touchdown. They just dropped it. 3rd and goal, 11 seconds left. 14-10 Chargers on top. Man.
Okay. So Wa2K, now Frankie just made some good points. Like, okay, so maybe we do stop the running game, but one of our Achilles heels this year has been the short game. We get eaten alive. We have not figured it out. And hey, it could be attributed to the poor linebacking play. It could be attributed to the lack of linebackers that we have on the field at any given time. There are a myriad reasons for that. What do you think that we're going to see? Do you have any stats on how often the Dolphins are successful with their short game? And do you think that's what we're going to see? Or what are we looking at with their offense in general, other than their running attack?
I think Miami is really going to have to adjust their offense from what they've been doing recently. We've obviously talked about the running backs and Jalen Waddle most likely all being out. But another situation with the tight ends, so they like to run 12 formation frequently, over half the time. Way more than, I think about twice as much as the rest of the league does. Now, Gesicki, we know him, but Hunter Long and Adam Shaheen, I believe it's pronounced, they're both questionable for this game. So they might be down some tight ends too. And if that's the case, that limits their blocking, which could hurt their ability to throw those short passes and, take them down the field. And Devontae Parker, he's missed the last 6 games. He's been on injured reserve. He's just coming back, so how rusty is he, So let's see how this Miami offense adjusts. I think we're going to get a feel pretty early. If Miami has success on the first drive or 2 in this game, that is damning on this defense, because I think the Miami offense has to refine its identity for this week. Jets got to take advantage of it.
What's going to be interesting,
Frankie?
Well, what's going to be interesting to watch? Are they going to maintain this RPO garbage, I'll say, that they've been running? So, RPO has become much more prominent in the NFL than it ever has been. It used to be a college thing that you did, and everybody, when the NFL was called the pro style offense, and there was no RPOs. Well, the Miami Dolphins have adopted RPOs for Tua, and that has sort of coincided with Tua's improvement. And people are saying, well, the only reason Tua is doing well now is because he's running all these RPOs. And, if he would run a pro style offense, he wouldn't be so good. And some people are also saying, we'd like to see him. Okay, maybe that's true. See him in a pro style offense. Stop running so many RPOs so we can know what we have in Tua, because RPOs are great for occasionally, but if you're running them all the time, it's kind of limiting what you can do out of them. He likes to throw out of the RPO. So I would be curious to see, are they going to continue on with these RPOs in this game, especially when there's no real threat in the running as a running back, or are they going to shift to a more pro style offense, in which Tua has not done in this stretch of games here where he's improved? And if they do that, how does Tua play in that scenario? So I think that's a key to watching the game.
Well, what do we think about the benefit and the impact of Michael Carter II coming back? Maybe not having, having the two guys that we penciled in to start in Bryce Hall and Michael Carter II back there could be a boost. I mean, what do you guys think, Adam? Do you think Michael Carter II is going to have an impact, or you think he's going to take a minute to kind of get his feet back under him and all that sort of stuff? How do you see him impacting the game?
I feel Michael Carter's the second has been one of the more reliable defenders the Jets have had on their team this season, as a matter of fact. Having Eccles back, having Carter back, I mean, it can only help. And I still think the thing that not enough people are talking about is Bryce Huff returning. He makes such an impact on this defensive line, which is amazing to think about, considering how loaded in name value, at least, this defensive line is supposed to be. But it's this undrafted free agent from Nowheresville, USA, who has shown a very good ability to play both the run and the pass. And I think a big concern I had with Bryce Huff was, can he play against the run, or is he like a third down pass rushing specialist? And I really believe that he could be, like, after Carl Lawson, that second or third defensive end. I mean, of course, I'd like to draft an edge rusher in the first round if the board falls that way. But even if not, if they used other resources to beef up the linebackers, the cornerbacks, and certainly the safeties, I wouldn't even mind going with Huff as a full-time starter going into next season. So that's one of the reasons I actually do have hope for this defense, is I feel like we have the guys, some of the guys in place. Some things need to be moved around, but I do believe there is a foundation that is being built. Not to look too far ahead, I feel like I'm getting away from your question, but that's why it's going to take another big time off season to get this defense where it can be, which is out of the cellar.
Yeah, well, look, I'm going to bring Jeremy on for these last few minutes too, and I like what you just said. Don't feel scared about veering away, man. I veer away every single thing I say. I end up on something else, so don't worry about it. I'll bring Jeremy on. I want to get some predictions. Jeremy, you ready to come on, buddy? I don't want you to be naked or anything. Okay, good. What's up, buddy?
The world doesn't want me to be naked.
Yeah, no one wants us to be naked. So I want to get some predictions for this game. We have about 10 minutes left or so. We got quite a few people in the chat. I mean, we can do scores and stuff, but I want to get like a little bit deeper. I want to know what you guys think we're going to see in this game. Frankie, I'll start with you just to kind of get your opinion on, what are we going to see? What's our offense going to do? What's our defense going to do? And then maybe give us a final score.
So some of the things to watch out for, they blitz the second most in all of the NFL. They're a very heavy blitz team. So the question would be, are they going to continue to do that with Javon Holland out? So it looks like Javon Holland's out. He's a big part of their defense, the safety, the rookie safety, great cover safety. So are they going to want to risk that with Holland out and with that? So that's something to watch. And then they also love to do cover zero. So the other thing they like to do is they like to put 8 people at the line and challenge you to figure out who's coming and who's not. Put one-on-one with their 3, the 2 cornerbacks that are great, Byron Jones and Xavier Howard, and then normally Javon Holland, but they'll have some of their other safeties playing. So that's something to watch. How does Zach Wilson handle that 8-man front with 8 players on the line? And they're challenging you to say, okay, Figure out who's coming and who's not, and figure out what to do about it. How are you going to block our 8 with your 7? And that's a challenge. How do we handle that? That's what I would be watching for. Now, they're typically, if they're going to continue to blitz like that, what I would do is I would feature Michael Carter in the screen game. So Michael Carter, the running back, I would screen against it. I would let him come. Boom! I hit Michael Carter. Now try to tackle Michael Carter with 3 people, who already are trying to cover our wide receivers going deep. I say, Cole, go deep. Mims, go deep. Everybody go deep. Then I drop it off to Michael Carter. 30-yard gain, 40-yard gain. That's what I try to do. And let's see if we do that. But that feels like a good strategy to me. I don't know. Scores are hard to predict. The Vegas line is 9.5. I think that's way too much. I would say we're probably, I don't know, DVOA has us worse than they are. It could be close. I guess I would say Miami, like, maybe 20, maybe we lose a squeaker, 24-21, something like that.
24-21. You sound so logical, frankly. I just don't see it. I just don't see any of that happening. I saw a tweet today. I believe it was from JetX, but forgive me if I'm wrong. They said the Jets have an influx of players coming back. And this week, in response to that influx of players, they have gone from an 8.5-point underdog to 10-point underdog. So what does it all mean? I don't know, man. Jeremy, what do you see? Do you agree with Frankie? Do you see something maybe a little bit different? What do you got for this weekend?
Yeah, Frankie actually took the words out of my mouth. The thing I've been thinking all week is, how is Zach going to handle the cover 0? Like it's having to make quick decisions. So it concerns me. But rather than judge him by it, I was thinking, I started the more positive look is good experience for him, right? Like being forced to make these quick decisions and how, and have to figure out who's coming and who's not coming. Like, I know the fans aren't going to see it that way. Twitter's not going to see it that way if he struggles, but it's great for his development. It's great for him to have to go up against these challenges and see these different looks. I am hoping, on another positive side, that maybe having to worry about making these quick decisions will get him out of his head with the accuracy. Like maybe he'll be having to just react so quickly and maybe not think these throws, that if they're doing these screens and they're doing these quick slants and maybe we'll see his accuracy come back, because I know it's there. I know he's a quarterback who not only is accurate like in making completions, but actually has great ball placement. If you look at hours and hours of tape and film, I want that to come out of him, and I don't know what that's going to take. And maybe just having to make those quick decisions and not think about his mechanics and his throwing will bring that out in him. But I certainly would love to see us screen more and stop being the victims of the screen pass and make another team the victim of a screen pass.
The other team, the victim of a screen pass. Well, Michael Carter did have a good game against the Dolphins, didn't he? Wasn't that the first game that he started to kind of come into this almost like a full-time lead back role? Am I right there? Wasn't this the first game that we went, ooh, Michael Carter might be our star back here, and not Austin Walter, like we all thought it would be from the beginning here. But yeah, I think, Michael Carter and Dropsy McGoogle Ty Johnson, that guy. Look, I hate being right. I really do, especially about a position like that. I mean, because Ty Johnson has such talent, man. Like when he has the ball in his hand, that guy can do some truly amazing things. The problem is the rest of the time he sucks. So there's that, and I hate it. But the
problem is they outlawed Stickum. That's the problem. Green should just. Why did they have to outlaw Stickum? Would be perfect for Ty Johnson.
What year was that? Was that 1974? Was that the year, Frankie?
Had to be the 80s. I remember it.
So Watsu K99, you've been giving us your input a little bit, but what do you think's actually going to happen? If you had to make a prediction, what do you see coming down the pike for us this Sunday?
So turning it around, we've been talking more about the Miami offense versus the Jets defense. To turn it around, by the way, in the last game, Michael Carter had 9 carries, 63 yards, and 1 catch for 2 yards. It was really the Elijah Moore show. That was his breakout. 8 catches, 141, and a touchdown. So it's really hurting to not have him. But I don't like the idea of a downfield passing game here. I mean, do I trust Denzel Mims, Jamison Crowder, and Keelan Cole against Byron Jones and Xavier Howard? I do not. And actually, Crowder to me has been I'm amazed that he has seemingly no connection whatsoever with Zach Wilson. I really was looking for an uptick in Crowder's performance, and I just haven't seen it, and I'm stunned by it. So I definitely like the idea of the screen game to Carter if we could trust Zach Wilson to throw the short passes. I mean, because if there's one short pass that doesn't hit, Twitter will become an even bigger cesspool than it already is on Sunday afternoons.
Oh, it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, and the other advantage of doing the screen pass is it can help to neutralize Emmanuel Ogbah and Jalen Phillips. Got Jalen Phillips at this point, just to give you some numbers. He has 8.5 sacks, including 5 in the last 2 games. We cannot let him get to Zach, no matter what. And my other hope for this game is that it looks like the Dolphins are elevating the immortal Sheldrick Redwine at safety if Javon Holland doesn't play. So as we remember, he's the safety who gave up that touchdown to Robbie Anderson in week 1.
Yeah, but on the other hand, now it's a red wine revenge game.
See?
Somehow the Todd Bowles revenge game scares me more in a couple of weeks.
Hey, listen, that shouldn't scare you.
They're going to kill us regardless.
Right. We're walking in there knowing exactly the beating that we're going to take. I mean, that's one of those things. It's almost like an initiation ceremony. You're not trying to get out of there with your ass, with no bruises on your ass. What's coming. You're like, I just got to do it. I just got to do it.
We just have to actually hope that they don't snatch our souls in that game. But if we get out of that game, if we get out of that game with our soul intact, okay, well, fine.
What does that mean? Getting a field goal? Like 50-3? Do we still have our soul salvaged?
That's right. I wanted to just remind you, Frankie, Harry W. checked in, and I think he's referring to the year that Stickum was outlawed, and that is 1978. Leave it to our boy Harry. We have some true knowledge in the chat, and I love having these guys around.
Maybe I was a football fan before earlier than I remember, because I was only 6 years old in 1978. How did I know about Stickum, Harry?
Because we heard a story. That's what it all is. You know what I mean? You hear a story enough, you start to remember it as if you were there. You're like, I swear, I was riding a horse through the veranda, and I was side saddle in a dress, and I couldn't wait to get the kiss of Clint Eastwood looking character. So I swear, that's what happened. So here's the thing.
You're a weird dude, Greenbean.
Yeah. Well,
I thought heroin and broccoli 2 weeks ago was weird. Man,
well, there you go. Well, look, man, the truth is I don't drink. So when you don't do that, a lot of shit bubbles up to the top that you've been suppressing, whether it's weed or, I don't do anything, man. I'm just out here. You know what I mean?
High on life.
I'm just out here, man, bebopping and bumping along through the world like a pinball. I don't know what's happening. I got no booze. Especially because the first 30 years of my life, that's all I had was booze. So, and broccoli, of course. But, yeah. So this brings us to the end of the show, but I have a surprise for everybody before we go. I'm going to let anybody leave if they want, but I have chosen, because I'm a weird guy and I'm in the mood, I think before I go, I want to do one of these things. And just real quick, you'll see. Let's get this going.
This is going to take an hour and a half.
No. I have a. So let me get that comment off Jeremy's face here. I think now. Look, everybody in the chat. You can stick around. You can leave. If Frankie, if Adam, if you have to go, Jeremy, whatever, that's fine too. But we're going to do 3-minute timed rounds. We're going to do 7 rounds. We're going to do 3 minutes, and we're going to be succinct. And anybody complaining about the guy they didn't get, I need you to get out of here. Okay? It's just one of those things, man. It's not going to be perfect. It's a quick mock. We can all be friends, okay? We don't have to yell at each other and say that we stink because you didn't get the guy you want. Is everybody game? What do you think? You want to hang around for about 15, 20 minutes? We got 7 rounds, 3 minutes apiece. That's 21 minutes. That's all it's going to be because I'm going to time it. I'll even show the timer when it's ticking down. We have to pick somebody. So who's in?
Absolutely, I'm in.
Let's do it.
I'm down.
Everybody's in. I expected to lose half of you. So Chad, are you guys going to stick around? I guess I'll see. Look, Bismo. Hey, Bismo Charismo popped in. You missed your buddy. We had I don't know if he's your buddy, but somebody from your neck of the woods was our guest for the first hour, Bismo. So he was great. If you haven't checked it out, listen to the first half of the show when we're done. I think you'll like it. Look at everybody. Just my speed. Draft time. Mock. Everybody's nuts. We are seriously nuts. I don't know what's the matter with us.
By the way, I will mention, if you subscribe to Jets X Factor, they released a off-season simulator today with the whole thing where you can resign players, cut players, and do the whole draft. So if you want 6 hours to just go by like that, get on that simulator. It's unbelievable.
Right. If you want your wife to not feel married any longer, go ahead and download that app. But let me ask you, is it free?
No.
You do have to subscribe. I think your first 30 days at the website are free though. Like for me, I think I pay like $6 for it. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
I don't mind doing it.
Well worth it. Look, the one thing you can say, the JetX is legitimate content. So even though there's a pay aspect to their stuff, you're actually getting something for it. You're not going to be disappointed. The content creators are there. As a matter of fact, on January 6th, we have Joe Blewett coming on here, Frankie, with us. Next week, we have the host of Jetnation Radio, Glenn Naughton, coming on with us. And then, like I said, the following week, we have Joe Blewett. And then we'll continue and see where it goes from there. So we have some good shows lined up for you guys. But let's go ahead and get this thing started. Now, Jeremy, if you wouldn't mind, you can all scan the chat and help me out. But Jeremy, I would appreciate it if you kind of focused on the chat for me. Because again, when I'm working the sim, I can't see the chat. It's a different page. So so we're going to go ahead and pick the Jets. Okay, I'm going to pick the Jets. I'm going to pick 7 rounds, and to help us, we're going to pick fast. So we're not going to dilly-dally here today. I'm going to set my timer for 3-minute intervals. Okay. Here we go. Timer. 3 mins. Let's see. This is what it will sound like. Oh, that sucks. Hold on. I'm going to be in here for an hour. Can't hear anything. You guys hear that? There it is. All right, so that'll be what we sound. All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and start this draft. I am hitting the timer now. So here we go. Let's draft. So let's see what they got. Oh, all 3 players I wanted are gone. We do have a trade offer. So
Thibodeau, Hutchinson, Hamilton.
God damn it.
They're all gone. So
I don't want to draft anymore.
The Cincinnati Bengals want us to go all the way back to 17, and they only want to give us a second, a third, and a second. Are we in, chat? Real quick.
No.
Yay or nay?
No way.
You guys say
Guys, yes or no? Yes or no in the chat.
No way.
And vote once too, otherwise it'll be crazy.
That's right. I got to put up my banner. Hold on. Let me see. Here it is. Vote once, please. It gets muddy as hell.
There we go.
They're yelling out names. It's yes or
We
no.
have the banner ready. Unbelievable.
Jeremy.
We got 3, 4 no's, 5 no's, 6 no's, 7 no's.
So,
no's.
all right. So we got all no's have it. So who do we want? Let's reject this offer. Let's look. We have Evan Neal, Andrew Booth, Kenyon Green. We have George Karlaftis.
Someone's missing. There's someone missing. Generally, Stingley is generally the next guy. Why is he 14th?
They changed all the rankings. They changed all the rankings.
Yep. What the hell?
So, guys in the panel, who do we want? Frankie, give me your guy.
Well, if this is the case, I might take. Shoot, man, I might take Booth. I guess. If is Booth really the best cornerback in this draft? Then
now he is. I don't know where he came from.
Only on
this
is
the guy I've been caring about.
Yeah, Andrew Booth is not.
These are weird rankings.
Yeah,
I mean, you could go Karlaftis, you could go Booth. We needed Hamilton. We needed Hamilton, and they took him. So I would take.
We can get Jordan Battle in the second.
Yeah, well, but he's no Hamilton. But I guess I would take. I'd take Booth. Booth.
Okay, Jeremy.
George, the Greek.
George, Y2K.
I'll agree with Jeremy. I'll go George.
All right, what's the chat saying?
Man, they're all over the place. I see the Greek. I see the Greek or Neil. I see Booth. Booth is elite. Ajabo.
Booth is
Wide receiver. People are saying wide receiver. Jamerson Williams. I saw
30 seconds.
The Greek again. Jamerson Williams. It's between them two. It looks like.
All right,
We got another pick at 7-2, so we got 7
my
coming
vote-
up also.
The Greek
My
freak.
vote
The
is
Greek.
for the Greek freak. All right, so the Greek.
The last
freak's got
4
it.
have been for the Greek. 5 for the Greek.
We got 16
that's
seconds. We got to hand him the card. Okay, here we
6
go.
for the
George
Greek.
Karlaftis it is.
It's
All
all
right,
for the
here we
Greek
go.
now.
Okay, so we will start.
Evan
that.
Neal,
So
Kenyon
we're-
Green.
I'm
They went
starting
off
the timer. I'm starting the timer.
Now we have to
now.
have Booth.
Ooh.
We have to have
I'm
Booth
starting-
now.
hey, stop talking. Stop. Wait, real quick. I'm starting the timer. Now we can talk. The first thing is the trade. So they
We
want
have
us
3.
to move down 3 picks. All right, we'll go through it. They want us to move down 3 picks for pick 73. That's all they give us. The Falcons want us to go down 2 picks. They'll give us 45. That's a significantly better trade than the Eagles. Okay. Then we have 18. They want to give us a second this year and a second next year. So if we're going to consider one, it should be the Falcons. Any takers? Panel.
I do it.
Jeremy. Adam says yes. Jeremy.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Frankie.
I agree. Let's do
All
it.
right. Well, I'm going to counter it, though. I'm going to try to get a 7th. Let's see what we do.
For next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. We got
Joe
it.
Douglas got nothing on you, bro.
That's our
it's a
kicker,
booth.
man. That's our kicker. That got us our kicker, right?
Next
It's a
year.
booth. All right, so we got another trade. The Bills want us to go back to 20. They'll give us 54 in a second next year. Oh my God, the Ravens want us to go 25. They'll give us 57, 89, 137 and a second next year. That is a serious drop, though. Panel, Frankie.
No, we got to get an elite talent here.
We can get saucy.
I want to know.
So
what
Frank
Sauce
says no.
is.
Jeremy. No, we're just talking about the trade. Jeremy.
No.
Okay, Y2K.
No.
Okay. The chat's going to say no, too. All right, so who do we got? We have quarterback Matt Corral. We have Garrett Wilson, a wide receiver that everybody likes. We have Chris Olave. We have Charles Cross, the tackle. We have Derek Stingley, the cornerback. We can get him or Linderbaum now. We can also go with another edge rusher, Ojabo, or we can get our linebacker. All the linebackers are still on the board. You can currently get the best linebacker in the whole draft, Devin Lloyd or Nakobe Dean, however you slice it, or we can get Okwanwu, the offensive tackle. We have 1 minute left, so what do we think?
I go Stingley.
Stingley, Jeremy.
I see us. He let you. Stingley.
Adam.
The injury history scares me. I think we could get a cornerback a little later. I'd go Linderbaum.
You're going Linderbaum. My vote is for
Linderbaum.
Devin Lloyd. What is the chat saying? My
Wow.
vote is Lloyd.
Chat is Dean Linderbaum. Dean Linderbaum. Stingley gets hurt too much. Stingley.
Yeah, I do see some
Linderbaum.
Stingley, though.
Linderbaum.
All right, looks
People
like
love
Linderbaum, huh?
Linderbaum for some reason.
Linderbaum.
They do.
Linderbaum.
I'm just really
All right.
convincing. That's what it is. I mean,
7 in a row for Linderbaum.
All right, we're taking Tyler Linderbaum with pick number 9. This is an
9.
incredible reach for a center. Here we go.
Yeah,
Okay,
that would be
Linderbaum
terrible.
it
That's
is.
a dumb
Matt
pick.
O'Leary
if
cluster.
it is,
Matt O'Leary did this.
All right, so we have a trade offer. We have
Battle
the
Bills.
Dallas Cowboys. This is our first second-round pick, boys. I'm going to push start right now so we can consider this under the time, 3 minutes. Dallas wants us to go back to 59. They'll give us 90 and a second. We also have to include our 4th next year. The Vikes want us to go back 6 spots, and they'll give us next year's 3rd. Any takers? Frankie.
No. We need
Adam.
a cornerback. Hello.
trying
Adam
to
said
see
no.
who's still on the board. Yeah, it's getting a little bit grayed out. We do have 39 also.
Yeah.
I think for the purposes of this, because the 2023 draft means nothing to us, I would say no.
Okay, Jeremy.
I say no.
I would take this, even though Jordan Battle, the safety I wanted, was taken 1 pick before us. So I would say take it. What is the chat saying? We got 3 no's and a 1 and a yes. What is the chat
What did he
saying?
say, Chad? Do we take this one?
I'm seeing more no's.
Yeah, it looks like nose.
Yeah, a lot
The
of
Vikes
those.
are giving back Herndon. That's funny. That's funny. I like that. Jay Spector with the comedy.
No, I'm seeing no. No.
Okay, no.
Definitely
All
not.
right, so no it is. We're just going to say no. So we have
Okay.
Isaiah Spiller. Isaiah Spiller is my favorite running back in the entire draft. We have an offensive tackle here. We got edge. All of the linebackers that were the top tier are gone. We do have Christian Harris and Brandon Smith from Penn State U. We have tight end Isaiah Likely, and we have Carson Strong in case you don't like Zach. So what are we thinking here?
We got to get
Jeremy.
a cornerback.
Yeah, let's see.
There's no value cornerback right now. We can get him at the next pick.
Well, Trent McDuffie from Washington is rated 37.
Right, but he'll be there next, won't he? Oh, it's a gamble. You're right. It's a gamble. Well, there'll be another tight end for sure on the next pick. So
yeah, we have 1 minute. Jeremy, who's your player?
I agree, Frankie. Grab McDuffie.
Yeah,
Grab McDuffie.
Yeah, McDuffie.
Okay, so Frankie wants McDuffie. Watch UK. What are you saying? Chat, don't forget to
All right,
answer.
All right, I'll go. Okay, I'll go with it. I'll go with you guys. I'll go with McDuffie too. That's
What do you
fine.
say, chat? What do you say?
McDuffie? I want Isaiah Spiller. That's my guy.
We just drafted
Or
Carter.
Lewis Seen from safety, from Georgia. That's my pick. Lewis Seen or Sign. What are they saying? McDuffie, Smith, yes, cornerback.
Yes.
All right, we got all cornerbacks.
Cornerback,
Okay.
yeah. So, Spiller, one Spiller.
Spectre, we don't have
Righties.
time to answer questions like that, buddy.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
this round. This is the quick one. I'm dizzy.
There is
Naughty.
one.
I know, man. We're too old for
We're
this.
fast.
All right, so we're going with
Yeah.
Trent McDuffie, the Dynamo from Washington.
Spiller was the
Here
competition.
he is. Welcome to a miserable life, Trent McDuffie. You're a New York Jet. Okay, so I'm going to start it. This is our second round pick, and we have numerous trade offers. So here we go. The timer is begun. Detroit wants us to slide back 20-something picks and a seventh. They'll give us 98, third, and a fourth.
No.
Okay. Vikes want us to go back 4 spots, and they'll give us a fourth next year. Don't forget, when we assess this draft, about our capital that we acquire next year is also included. So what do you guys say to this trade? This is a little jump back and gain a little capital. What do you guys think?
Nope.
Adam?
Probably not. Can we bring the big board back up, please?
We need Weidermeyer.
We're talking about the trade. You want to see?
Yeah,
the
but
big
we need
board
to
and-
know who's on the board before we know about the trade.
perspective.
Ooh. Look, both my guys are there. Oh my God. Okay.
I think Watermeyer's gone, right?
Watermeyer already went? I didn't think so.
No, hold on. Scroll up.
Let's go.
He's right here.
He's
There
there.
he is.
Ooh. I'd go get Weidermeyer.
I would agree.
Really?
Unless we feel we could
you
trade
guys
down
don't
4
know what
spots
you're
and he'll
doing.
make it.
Mm.
You
I-
don't need Weidermeyer. I would go with Isaiah Spiller, man. Yeah, there's plenty of tight ends. You can get Jeremy Ruckert in the 3rd or 4th easy. But if that's so what's the chat saying?
But
You
what
guys are
the
3
chat
tight
is
ends.
saying-
I'm a running back. What are they saying, Jeremy?
People are saying we can get a tight end next. Some people are saying tight end. Some people are saying take the trade. We need to give them a choice, like to vote on right now.
All right. Here's the choice: Isaiah Spiller, Lewis Seen, or Weidermeyer. Because you
Okay.
guys 3 voted for Weidermeyer. Where did he go?
Okay, so we got a Spiller.
Back up.
Oh, there he is.
We got a
48.
Scene, so it's tied up right now. We got a wait a minute. We're one. It's 1-1-1. Stop
I'm looking
saying
at the
trade.
safety. I'm looking. Yeah, the trade's off. We said no.
I know people are like, okay, just not a linebacker. We
Yeah,
gave you the 3 names.
They don't like this 3
Scene,
minute thing. 1
Scene.
minute.
Look, it's Scene, Watermeyer, or these guys.
Or Spiller.
Or Spiller. You don't have to make your arguments. Just do your vote.
Yeah, guys, this is a lightning round, man. We can't talk too much. We got 40
Watermeyer's
seconds.
going to win it unless you guys just start voting.
Well, if we don't get the pick in, we lose. the
Weidermeyer's
pick.
Gronk like? Is this like our new baby Gronk? Is that what this is, Jay?
25 seconds remaining.
It's tied right
What's our
now.
pick?
Spiller, it's tied right now. Get it in. It's Watermeyer or Scene.
All right, I'm taking Sam.
Oh, no, now Spiller. He keeps splitting. It's crazy. Spiller.
Weidermeyer. Pick
who's got it?
Weidermeyer already. Pick
We need a
Weidermeyer.
recount.
Jalen
Who is it?
Weidermeyer.
We have 4
It just
seconds.
keeps-
They're asking for our
The
card.
New York
Jeremy, who
Jets
won?
select.
Okay, Spiller wins. Spiller wins. No, tight end wins. Weidemeyer wins. Weidemeyer wins.
Jeremy's a cheater. I want you guys to know that. I don't
No.
trust
I
Jeremy.
wanted Spiller, but Weidemeyer wins. I'd be lying if I.
All
if
right,
I
there he is.
Have we had
took a
repeat
tight
vote?
end. We reached for a tight end. Way too.
All right,
Okay,
Weidermeyer.
so guys,
Okay.
all right, he's a good
write
player,
these
though,
down,
so
by
we
the
did
way.
okay. All right, you don't have to though, but I have them all. But
Okay.
that's fine. Okay, I'm starting the 3-minute timer. We have 2 trades. Detroit wants back in 20 picks. They want to give us 98 and a third. Falcons want to go back to 61. They want us. Yeah, it's a bullshit trade anyway.
No.
What do you guys think? Trades, yes or no? Adam, start.
No.
Jeremy.
Nope.
Okay,
Not for this
trades
one.
are off.
50.
So look, there goes Lewisine. We took. Is Isaiah Spiller still there?
No.
Brandon Joseph.
Spiller's gone.
We need
Okay.
Brandon Joseph.
So now,
here.
no. We need linebackers, guys. Brandon Smith and Christian Harris are both on the board. That's
I
the
agree.
next tier. Brandon Smith coming out of linebacker U. We also have Kenny Pickett, in case you hate Zach Wilson. We have a guard, Frankie. We have Zion Johnson here. Let's take a look at what we've done. Did I start the timer? I did. We have 2 minutes and 10 seconds left, but I'm still going to look at what the Jets have drafted. We have an edge, a center, a cornerback, and a tight end, a nice, well-rounded first 4 picks. So here's what we got. Frankie, tell me your number one dream right now for this.
I want Brandon Smith, linebacker out of Linebacker University. We need to cover people. We need to tackle people. I want the most fundamentally sound linebacker I can get.
Okay, Jeremy, what do you got?
I take Brandon Smith in almost every draft where I don't take a linebacker in the first round. There's no question about it. Penn State.
Nice. Y2K.
I'm going to make it unanimous. We got to get linebacker, and if he can cover, I want him.
All right, I want Kenny Pickett, and I also want Brandon Smith. What's the chat saying? Do they agree with us? Are they outvoting us?
So far, I see a Smith, yes, linebacker. Christian Harris, better than Brandon Smith. Yes, Smith, linebacker.
Tony, we got a center. We're not leaving
Yes,
Zach out.
linebacker.
All right, so it's Brandon Smith.
It's Brandon Smith. Terry Monroe, Hank G, Raw Power all just said Smith. They locked it up.
Okay. All right. Brandon Smith, you're coming to the New York Jets. You'll learn under the tutelage of one CJ Mosley. Here he comes. Okay. So what are we thinking here, guys? They want us to slide down 1 pick. And for that right, we will trade our 5th and upgrade it to a 4th next year. And Jacksonville wants to give us a 6th to move down 4 spots. Any takers for either one of these? Frankie?
We could take the first one. It's not, slide down 1 pick. Who cares?
What do you think, Y2K?
Yep, I would do it.
Jeremy?
I'm always yes on sliding down 1 unless there's someone you're dying for that's right on the top there, and I don't see that.
Kyron Williams, great running back. Garrett Williams, cornerback. Jared Patterson still there. Look, we could still get Jared Patterson. See what I mean, everybody? All right. So we're good on the trades. What does the chat think about the trades?
They like it.
Slide 1. Yeah.
They don't like
slide
it.
1.
Slide 1.
Take Bears. Slide 1.
Yep. I'm going to add a 7th and see if they'll do that.
Yes, the first.
Hey, we added a 7th. Skiddly do.
We're getting some 7s now.
All right.
That's right.
We got our kicker. So we got a backup punter.
Can we restart the clock, by the way, because of these trades?
No, the trades are done during it. This is what it is.
All right.
I hear you, but we only lost. I got you. All right, I'll restart the clock.
There you go. We're getting more offers, so.
No to that one. We don't need the Vikings.
No.
So we slide down 5 spots and we gain pick 191. That's good stuff.
Yeah, but we got the 2 picks in the 200 now already.
And we have Kyron Williams on the board. That's a running back I could see in our backfield. He's a guy who's a do-it-all back.
He is.
He's
basically,
yeah, 1-2 punch with Michael Carter. I mean, that's really something.
We don't have a tight end yet. Uh-oh.
Yes,
we do.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We did. Yeah,
that's okay. We got defensive end, center, corner, tight end, and linebackers so far.
Oh, I like Jared Patterson, though.
I know, but we already got Linderbaum, dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
We got Daniel Falele coming up.
We already took these guys.
Ooh, Trey McBride listed this.
Don't forget about safeties. Don't forget about the safety Smoke Monday, Yusef Corker, Quentin Lake, Isaiah Palomau. They're all coming up. We can wait a minute for those guys, but we need a safety, guys. That's a dire need. So what is the chat thinking? Frankie, I'll start with you. What are you thinking? You said Kyron Williams. Are you safe with that one? You want to stick with him?
Yeah, and then we probably need a safety next pick.
Okay, I like Kyron Williams as well. Jeremy, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I like Hire Williams, and then we got hopefully Smoky Monday will still be there because I love the name.
Smoky. Y2K, what are you thinking?
When's our next pick after 69? Can we click on the logo? See where we are? This is our last pick for 40 picks.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest. I think we could get a good running back later. I think I'd rather take Catalan. I want to address safety because that is a black hole.
All right, and you want it's a good thought. You want Catalan from Arkansas.
I got to research these guys, but right now I'm going on position and who has the coolest sounding name, to be honest.
Yeah, I've only researched a few. Again, Yusef Corker, Smoke Monday are two guys I've looked at. Quentin Lake's a guy I've looked at. Isaiah Polomau I love. He's never going to wait till this long to get picked, but that's the way they have it laid out here. So what's the chat saying? What do you guys got?
McKinney. Who's McKinney? Oh, McKinley. Oh, Merle McKinley. Okay.
He's popular. He's on TV a lot, Oregon. So, McKinley, Catalan.
There's another good. This is a good linebacker too, Jad Muma. I like him. And ain't nothing wrong with taking two linebackers, but right. So I'm on board.
Williams.
With switching to a safety too. I'll go ahead and take Catalan. I'll throw my weight behind your guys' pick, which is Catalan. So what's the chat saying? We got Kyron Williams, Catalan.
See a lot of Williams. I see some Catalan. I see McKinley. So we got to narrow it down to two choices. Let's say it's going to be Catalan. Do we want to go running back or safety? Do we want Catalan or Williams?
It's one of the
timer
two.
Is up. We got to make a pick.
I'll switch. I switch to Catalan.
Catalan, 100%.
Catalan. Let's go.
All right.
We need a safety.
I'm going to get him.
Desperately.
Here he comes.
Rusty Spooner made.
Hopefully this is after we sign Jesse Bates in free agency. That's my hope.
There you go.
Yeah. Bates hasn't been that good this year.
All right. The timer starts for pick 109. For our first pick, we have no trade offers. So let's take a look.
We got 111 right there, too.
Nice.
Oh, Zay Flowers, the wide receiver, is there, guys. You guys familiar with Zay Flowers? I'll
go with the what?
I'll let you watch
time
this
to go
real
with
quick.
I'd say we take Zonovan Knight and Zay Flowers right there. Flowers and Knight. Boom. Done.
Running backs.
Hello.
So what is the chat thinking positionally here? We have a wide receiver here, which we have not taken. We also have not taken a running back as of yet. Did we take a cornerback?
Yes, we took McDuffie. Yes, we took McDuffie.
Okay.
Well, we got to keep in mind this guy played for Boston College, which means he's catching passes from Phil Jerkovich, who's the greatest quarterback of all time. So his stats may be a little his stats may be a little inflated. So we got to keep that in mind with Mr. Flowers.
Who's that guy who loves Jerkovich, Frankie?
It's Friggle D. It's our buddy Friggle.
The
Frigglemeister.
Friggle. Nice.
So what is the chat saying for position right here? They wanted Larry Turkin wants an edge. Scrolling up, Smoke Monday. Wayne 136. So what do we got here? Jerkovic is an ass. Stretch forever. Okay, we took an edge at 1. Mims is a better option than wide receiver at this point. I agree, Tony G, but our coaching staff disagrees. So we might as well use a pick to get somebody they will play.
What about running back? Who's available at running back at this point?
Let's take a look.
Well, Zonovan Knight from NC State.
Zonovan. Here's the running back.
McCormick. That's quite a name.
Ooh, Hassan Haskins.
Yeah, Haskins is somebody that's been. Guys are telling me about him. I think that's Rusty Spooner's guy, Hassan Haskins. So we have less than 2 minutes left. We have 1 minute left. So what's the chat saying? I'm totally fine with Zonovan Knight. I would prefer Zay Flowers. I'm going to say Zay Flowers gets my vote. What are you guys thinking? Watch UK.
I'm
good. Okay, yeah, Zay Flowers. Can you pull up the scouting report on Flowers just because I don't know him too well, please?
We only got 3 minutes.
I just did, man.
I'm just trying to make good picks for you.
scouting report is Phil Jerkovich. That's the
Versatile.
scouting report.
Good. I'm in.
Versatile. That's all.
I
you
like
need to
versatile. I'm convinced.
I like Zay
Okay,
Flowers because
so-
he might not be there in 2 picks.
Yeah. I like
He's
Zay
definitely
Flowers.
That's a
not
good
gonna
point.
be- All right. Zay Flowers.
need versatile.
Who
Okay.
you think's
Chat,
going to go
chat
next?
okay with that?
Is
We
the
have
chat
17
okay with Zay
seconds. Is
Flowers?
the chat okay with Zay Flowers?
They stopped, really. It hasn't been very active.
Okay, we got 5 seconds. I'm taking
Jets Trevor
it.
saying
There
Trey
he goes.
McBride. We already took a tight end.
Nobody's saying anything.
Maybe
Flowers,
we're offline.
Adam, Flowers.
There it is.
I'm seeing
Someone-
Papone. All right, there it is.
Okay.
So Seattle
hitting
to Quay
start.
Walker.
Papone will be there with the
Seattle?
next pick.
Okay. We're hitting
Flowers.
start. 3 minutes. I already took him. I took him an hour ago, guys. All right. We have a trade offer. Bengals want us to slide back 8 picks and a 7th for pick 158. Any interest, Jeremy?
I'm interested. I'm interested in what the chat says. I am interested in that trade
All right,
because
Frankie,
I think
what do you
that's
do?
some.
Yeah, I would make that trade. I mean, the difference between these 8 players is not going to be that much. I'd make it.
Yeah.
We're going to lose Zonovan Knight. I'll tell you that. Watch UK.
I'd almost consider countering it. I'm interested in it, but I'm wondering if we could get even more. Maybe move.
Yeah,
one,
I'll always
maybe
counter.
get a little better pick.
Definitely
I don't know.
counter.
Yeah, I'd counter
I'll
it.
definitely counter for you, Watch UK. But what does the chat say? Do they want this
The
trade?
chat
Yes,
so far, we got
trade,
2
yes.
people.
They like
Trade,
it.
yes. Good trade. I don't think a lot of people care about Zonovan Smith very much because they're all saying to do it.
Like
But
draft crackheads. Look at Salty Nuts. Like draft crackheads. Yeah, that's what it feels like right now. I'm all anxious and freaked out. Okay. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and counter this trade. I think I'm gonna go for a 7th. We don't have too many of those. Let's
Not this
see.
year.
Let's take off our 7th and see if they still do it. Nope. All right. So let's add a 6th. Nope. Here's the cheapest asset they have. Let's see. Give me your 7th, and you got yourself a deal. They said no. So they're saying this is our offer, buddy. So you guys want to take it? We have 1 minute and 24 seconds left. We haven't even started talking about players.
everyone's saying take the trade. The
Take it,
chat
yeah.
wants the trade.
It's cool.
Take it.
All right. Trade is accepted. Zonovan Knight is gone. Travis
So
Jones is
goes.
gone. Chris Autumnbell is gone. You want this
Ooh.
trade?
Oh,
Frankie, you taking this trade?
Yeah, I'll take this trade.
Okay, me too. Watch UK.
yes.
Jeremy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm taking it. I'm going to count. I'm going to try to get their 7th. Here we go. Yeah. All right. We're stockpiling 7ths. Okay. So now who do we want? Oh, they took Jeremy Ruckert. There it goes. All right. You want this
We
trade?
had our tight end. It's okay. Man,
You want to slide down one more and get an extra pick? All we're doing is elongating our night here.
yeah. How many of us know the 7th round? 7th round at this point,
I'm
honestly.
just going to add a 7.
It's just grabbing developmental players at this point that, just random tackles or guards or whatever.
All right. I'm overriding everybody. I'm taking this trade. There we
Let's
go. Okay.
J-
All right. We're
Jackson.
getting nuts here. I'm not.
They're
taking
all
it.
saying yes.
They want. Okay, I took it. So we
It's not
have
good.
Isaiah Thomas. We can start doubling up, guys. We can start doubling up. We have Isaiah Thomas, a nice developmental edge rusher. We also have a safety, Tyke Smith, but there are other safeties here that I like a whole bunch. Yusuf Corker, Quentin Lake, Isaiah Polomal. We also could probably use an interior offensive lineman that's not a center, maybe a guard. We have these guys. Cade Mays is somebody I looked at a little tiny bit. The other guys I don't know too much. We also could. Did we ever get our running back? We did not.
We never got a running back.
Right. People are saying Mechie, but he has a torn ACL.
Yeah, but he's a steal if you get him here.
Yeah, ACL doesn't scare me.
Yeah.
Look
Yeah.
at Bryce Hall. I'm pretty sure he had
Yeah.
an
That was an ankle.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was an
ACLs
ankle, yeah.
these days.
We'll see.
ACLs these days, you come back
Yeah, you're
from
right.
it, usually.
I agree. I gotta say he's probably the finest value pick here. If you can get him at pick 123, it's worth the torn ACL.
On 2 wide receivers back to back.
Yeah,
Hey,
we got to replace the whole room. Crowder's out of here. Barrios.
Burnt
Oh.
Dice says, so what?
We'll keep someone, but
Joe says, take the
I think
injury.
P. Ryan's going to be out. I mean, it might be Carter. Are we keeping Coleman? P. Ryan, I don't know. Johnson, I don't see Johnson being back next year.
All right, here's who we got. We got an edge. Oh shit, the timer's off. I don't think I reset it. All right, I'm giving us 1 minute to do this. I think I kept it going on the last one. So we have, these are our picks. We still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 picks.
Take
So,
Mechie
up.
All right,
Take
Jake
Mechie,
Mechie's
then
the
a
guy.
running back. Mechie's
Yeah.
too much of a
All right.
value.
That's what we're gonna do. Too much value. That's what we're doing. All right, we
All
got
right.
too
All
many guys. All right.
Then
Oh my
you-
God.
Don't take any more trades and just get a running back.
All right, but
Definitely
we
need a
got to go
running
to the
back.
chat. We got to get to the chat though, Frankie. So what Hassan Haskins is still here, guys.
We haven't gone offensive line
We
We
haven't.
can't bring it.
We-
What are we going to bring in?
except center.
18
We haven't
guys?
gone with guard or tackle. Pardon me. We got a center, but need some offensive line depth.
Tyler Smith. I saw somebody in the chat really likes Tyler Smith out of Tulsa.
Rusty Spooner.
Um,
Rusty Spooner likes them.
Rusty Spooner likes Tyler Smith and Hassan Haskins. So what are we thinking, guys? Frankie, what position you want to go for here? You want to go for an offensive lineman, get some beef in the house, or do you want to go running back,
Nah,
even though our minute is up? Frankie,
Give me
you get the
Haskins.
pick.
Hassan Haskins. Big time
Okay,
program.
Hassan
Running
Haskins.
back. Knows how to play in the big game. I like him.
All right, Frankie gets this pick. Y2K, the next pick is yours. Go
Sounds
ahead,
good.
pick a pick.
Okay, running back. We got that one. Oh, we have back to back. Okay, here we go. All right, let's
Yeah.
pull up the big board, please. I don't think I want to take another running back.
Ooh, Sam Laporta out of Iowa, one of my fave tight ends. Him
Ooh,
and
yeah.
Trevor Pollard.
I actually do know him. We got tight end, running back, linebacker, offensive.
Ain't nothing wrong with two tight ends, boys.
Yeah, we've drafted
You-
just about every single position at this point. It's really about about where we can get some. I think I want to build up the offensive line a little bit. I think that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. Between was it Smith, Jones, and Obina? I would take any one of those three. I
So
want
pick one.
to. I want to get some depth at tackle at this point.
Well, it's your pick.
Okay, I'm just going to take Smith since he's I know he's just. I'll say Tyler Smith just because.
Okay, Jeremy, this one's your pick.
Give me the whole
Jeremy.
board. Yeah, let me look at the whole board.
Mhm.
There we go. When are we drafting our kicker?
Later.
I'm gonna. Yeah, we got that later. I'm gonna say
later.
I'm gonna take a flyer on this guy from Central Carolina, Jeffrey Gunter, and get another edge in there. See if we
You're
can
gonna
strike
take a
gold.
flyer on Jeffrey Gunter.
Jeffrey Gunter.
Yep, I'm gonna throw a dart.
Okay, looks good.
I've been
All
doing
right,
Laporta too.
Lots of words. Okay, Jeffrey Gunter it is. Now I'm going to go to the chat and I'm going to pick somebody. This is your pick. Raw Power. What do you want to do with this pick? Raw Power, calling Raw Power. This is your pick, my friend. I will look at the trade. I don't want it. You don't get the option to take the trade. Who's your pick, Raw Power? Give it to us. 1 minute. Where is it?
I'm
Raw
waiting for
Power.
him. There has to be another Michael Carter somewhere. It was his last.
There has to be
Come on,
raw
Mike.
power somewhere.
We,
Where
Raw
are you,
Power,
Raw
I'm going to
Power?
give you
What
the
do you
big
want?
board.
we probably need more cornerbacks. You can never have
but-
too many cornerbacks.
I'd hate to take one now, though. Like, it's more of what we got last year. You know what I mean? Like, I think we, if we get a
Yeah.
cornerback, we want somebody to be that fills a role that these guys don't. You know what I mean?
I feel maybe a
Let's-
linebacker would make sense here. I know we
let's-
took Smith, but I wouldn't mind another linebacker.
What
I mean,
say
how much
you,
is
Raw
Raw
Power?
Power.
I wouldn't
Is it
mind
not-
another safety either.
Maybe
All right,
one of
Raw
those hybrid
Power,
guys.
I'm going to give
they
you.
love.
I'm going to give Raw Power 5 more seconds.
Oh,
Okay.
Jack
Then I'm gonna
Sanborn.
give it
Five.
to-
Four,
Sanborn is a tackling
three.
machine.
2, 1.
you
I
go,
see
Raw
nothing
Power.
from Raw Power. He's just not making a pick.
All right.
Could we
Rusty
get
Spooner,
Sanborn
give me
later,
your
though,
pick.
Frankie?
Rusty Spooner, this is your
In
pick.
this draft,
Go ahead. What did
maybe.
you say?
Rusty
Real
Spooner
life.
says Tomlinson.
Tomlinson?
Yeah,
Tomlinson. Yeah. Where
Tomlinson.
is he?
Why is Sanborn so
position?
low? Micah McFadden's higher than him.
You got to get me more than Tomlinson, Sugar Plums. Wait, I think. Wait, who was he again? He's LaDainian Tomlinson's nephew or something. Is that a big?
Okay, he says Leo Chanel, the linebacker.
Okay,
that's Rusty Spooner.
Yeah, he's saying Leo Chanel, the linebacker.
Going deep, aren't we?
Where the heck?
Jesus Christmas.
He's making stuff up.
This might be an undrafted. Did he already go?
I thought this was going to be quicker. This is what I thought.
I can't even find
15
him.
or 20 minutes.
No,
Where is
Rusty
he?
Spooner. Give me a real name.
He was picked already.
Rusty. He
Give
must
me
have
a
been
real
taken
name,
already.
Rusty Spooner.
Go to the big board.
He was already
I-
picked. He was already picked.
I'd take one of those
Here's-
safeties.
Take Doug Jolly's son. Wow.
Roar Power says, "Give me the positions." Can't read it. Laughing out loud. Oh,
Might have to maximize it if that might help. I don't know.
Yeah, make it bigger, Raw Power.
I had to. We have 2 picks left.
yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And one's
Wow.
going to the kicker.
We got to get York on the last one. So
I'm taking the last pick. That's what I'm doing. I'm taking
All right.
the last pick.
We need another
Not that we-
safety, I think.
Safety or linebacker, one of the hybrid guys, really. But
So I'd take the highest rated safety. I don't know.
All right.
Oklahoma State's
all
big
the
program.
Kobe Harvell Peel.
or Xavier Henderson, that's pretty
Did
close.
any of these guys make a pick? See how it's not easy, guys. You guys think it's so easy. You yell at us all day, and now
Harry
give you
W
guys a
keeps
pick,
saying
and it's taking a
Jolly.
half hour.
Who's Jolly?
I know,
Sean
they like to
Jolly,
Is
do
it really Doug
cornerback.
Jolly's son? I don't want Doug Jolly, anything related to Doug Jolly, to be anywhere near the Jets ever again.
Hey, Rusty Spooner, Rosea Polamalu is gone.
Dicker the kicker. Xavier Henderson and
Polamalu's
Kobe
gone,
are
buddy.
just about the same.
Either one.
Yeah, I'd take the top. I could take the top guy there.
We're going to be experts on this shit in like a month, I guarantee it.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Raw Power. All right, so he's having problems. I get it. And Rusty Spooner, you are the biggest disappointment in my recent memory. I thought you were going to come out and slam this one down, but no. It's been 20 minutes, and you're still writing, and he's still writing stuff like this.
He can't find his
Damn it.
reading glasses. He must be on his
No,
phone.
that's raw. Yeah, that's Raw Power. That's a legitimate excuse. Rusty, man, Rusty's.
The Jets are not moving to London, Snoopy. We're not moving to London. Okay.
Not this year.
Stop.
All right, so let's go to the big board. I'm taking the top player, but I'm still going to take the pick. We need a top safety. Here he goes. Colby Harbor Peel. That's for Frankie. And I'm going to take the last pick. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to see who's still left that I like.
You know who you're picking.
You know what you got to do.
He's not
Cade
gonna even-
York.
You need
So
somebody-
here's what we did. All right, guys. Here now, listen, guys in the chat. I'm going to read it out, and then Frankie and everybody else. We're going to give our letter grade. But first, I'm going to read who it is that we got. So we started with George Karlaftis, the Greek freak out of Purdue, edge rusher. Then we got a center, Tyler Linderbaum out of Iowa, Trent McDuffie, the cornerback out of Washington, Jalen Wiedermeyer, the tight end out of Texas A&M. We went linebacker U and grabbed Penn State's Brandon Smith. Jalen Catalan, the safety from Arkansas, Zay Flowers, the wide receiver from Boston College. We doubled up at wide receiver and got the value pick, John Mechie III out of Alabama, and then went running back with Hassan Haskins. Tyler Smith, the offensive tackle out of Tulsa. Jeffrey Gunter, the edge rusher out of Coastal Carolina. Safety Colby Harvell Peel. And kicker Cade York. But that is not all. We also got a 4th-round pick from Chicago, a 7th-round pick from Chicago, and a 7th-round pick from the Buffalo Bills. What are the letter grades? Don't forget to put your letter grades in the chat. Adam, what's your letter grade for this fine lightning draft that we just put together?
Well, I don't think the first 3 picks went as we wanted. So I think considering what we had to work with, I think we were bounded pretty nicely with the next couple of picks. I give this for right now B plus. 13
Nice.
picks. This is the Douglas 13. You know the
Yes, it
N612.
is.
This is the
Right.
Douglas 13.
The Douglas 13. Frankie, what do you think of this draft? The Douglas 13 here.
Well, I like pairing up Karlaftis with Carl Lawson. We now have a pass rush, so the pass rush that solves somewhat our defense on passing. Then we got McDuffie to be the cornerback. He's going to be on an island. We got McDuffie Island. We got our tight end of the future, Weidermeyer, so we can now pass to somebody who can catch the ball over the middle and run with it and all of that. Then we got a linebacker and a safety. I think this is an A- draft. We improved everywhere, because here's what we're going to do with Linderbaum. We're going to have Linderbaum as the center. We're going to move McGovern to right guard. Now our line is excellent, maybe.
Excellent. I like this. Jeremy, what do you think?
I think it's an A- also, and one simple. I think there's a possibility, if you look at these names, I can make an argument that we may have added 6 starters and filled 6 holes. I see George starting. I see Tyler starting. I see Trent starting. I see Wademeyer being our tight end 1. I see Brendan Smith starting, and I see Caden York being our kicker. That's 6 positions, 6 players, and almost definitely 6 contributors for sure, if not starting. And then you still got Jalen Catalon that might give us depth, or may even give playing time. Zay Flowers might get some reps. So, I mean, I love it.
This is good. You guys are fun. So let's see. Jets Forever gives it a Z. Brad Finkelstein gives it a B+. Let's see here. Burnt Dice gives it a D. He doesn't like this one, Burnt Dice. Go Hangard, conversely, gives it an A. Michael DeFino gives it a D as well. Hank gives it an A-. What's that say? Shitty Took, B-. Misdirect gives it a C. B+ from Rusty Spooner, The Missing. Harry W gives it a B. Go Hangard saying something else. Larry Turkin says B. Jay Spector says B. Joe Campione says C. You're all fired. Hank says Linderbaum was a reach. I agree. Terry Monroe says B. Captain Cake Techno from Ireland. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. Gives it a B. Tony G says a B, but he also says we need so many positions. We didn't do really bad, but mostly likely all 4 of these GMs would be fired.
We're
hey, man, I barely did anything.
Well, what about the GMs in the chat? What about the chat?
You guys are between A and Z. Yeah. Make up your minds, guys.
Yeah, we used to.
You'd still be on the third round. You know it.
Nobody on the panel would have taken Linderbaum. That was all you guys. So I don't want to hear it.
That was chat oriented.
100%.
So I'm going to give it.
I was leading the charge of the chat. So
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm still blocking Jeremy. I'm going to give it an A- as well.
Okay.
Even though these aren't the players I would have taken, I agree with Jeremy that this is we got some serious starters here. And like Frankie said, look, we have a lot of holes and we were able to fill a lot of holes. Maybe not the exact players I would have taken, but I trust our scouting department. I think these are the right players at the positions. It's not always the guys you hear about. It's the guys that our scouting department likes the best. And I think that guys like, Zay Flowers and Colby Harvell Peel are the right guys for the job. And A-. So this was pretty good, pretty good. This is we're getting these warm-up mocks going for the Monday night mock, which will be coming back sooner than you think. And I think it'll be a good time. We're going to have a lot of draft experts around here before this is all said and done. So there it is. That is the real end of our show. I want to thank you guys for spending that extra time with us. There it goes, lost to the ether. Y2K wrote it all down. You can keep it and show us later if you'd like.
Let's see. Yeah, I remember. I don't know who it was last year, but when I first started joining the channel, there was a guy who was tracking the mock drafts, every one as it went along. So I will hold on to this. And as the time goes on, let's see what players drop off. Let's see who we actually get. Be pretty cool.
Are you going to do that? You want to be our tracker?
Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I love doing that stuff. Of course I will.
That's good.
Cool.
This is good.
That's awesome.
You guys are exceptional. So, Frankie, why don't you let everybody know what you got going on, and we'll move on out of here. What do you got, buddy?
Yeah, the Frankie from Flatbush channel. We're trying to build it up to 1,000 subscribers. We're at about 330 or so right now. Appreciate it if you go over there. Tomorrow, I have a video dropping on George Fant and how there's some good news about George Fant. Better news than I think any of us would have ever predicted in the beginning of the season. So that's a cool video. And And I do live shows Friday night at 8, Sunday night at 7, and Coffee with Frankie 11:30 on Sunday before the game, so we can see who's in, who's out, what's going on with the Jets.
That's fantastic. As everybody knows, I sincerely love Frankie's channel and Frankie's takes, and I can't help but I'm gonna jump you on the George Fant news and just let everybody know what your video is going to be about. It turns out George Fant has 6 toes on each foot, and that's what gives him such incredible abilities, specially made sneakers and cleats. So, Jeremy, what do you got going on? You have a new channel, I hear. Why don't you tell us where they can find you and everything?
I got 6 days until it becomes 1 month, and I'm 12 subs, maybe 11 subs away from 100. And that was my goal, 100 in the first month. It's just how you see my name in the chat, NFL Chaos with Jeremy. I'm still developing shows. Me and my brother do a watch party, a red zone watch party, the late games after the Jet game. We're having a lot of fun, and we're like screaming at each other and yelling and competing with each other of who's watching the more exciting game. We had a great time on Sunday, and Wednesday night stream I'm thinking about for the future. I'm thinking of doing a Wednesday night stream, and I do a NFL predicting show where we predict the games, and that's released every Thursday before the Thursday game. And there'll be new things coming. There'll be smaller videos coming. Just working it out and building up the content.
Fantastic. That does sound fun. I might even be able to check that out one of these days in the very, very near future. That sounds good. Don't forget to support Frankie and Jeremy, NFL Chaos with Jeremy and Frankie from Flatbush. Adam, what do you got cooking? Anything that you want to tell the chat about?
Yeah, actually, I'll tell you about my travels. I was up in Baltimore this past weekend to watch some pro wrestling, and on my way down, I worked my way into Washington, D.C. and hung out with the Capital Jets fans group. They meet at the Irish Channel in Chinatown. Yeah, an Irish bar in Chinatown. I went in there. I'm like, give me an order of egg rolls, shepherd's pie, and a Guinness. Thank you. So, awesome. But great group. Really young, energetic group. It was fun hanging with them. It's right near the Capital One Center. That group could take down some Miller Lights. They were a great group to watch. It's to watch the game with. Shame the game was so nondescript, but of course I've got my group in Norfolk. But if you're in the DC area for a day, hang out with the Capital Jets fans. Great group. Amato's the president. Awesome. Good dude.
I love it. That's really cool, man. Promoting the Jets fan clubs from other areas. It's good. I'm actually down here. I'll be in the Fort Lauderdale area shortly, and I'll be near the South Florida Jets fans clubs that meets over at Hammer Jacks in Davie, Florida. And that was at one time my New York Jets home when I lived down there for 15 years. I watched almost every Jets game there for a few years. So it's a good group down there as well. I will remind you guys that I have a contest going on right here on this channel. You can win a t-shirt, and I'm going to show you guys my brand new t-shirt that was designed today. And I want to know what you guys think of this. So it's going to be, let me see, where the hell did it go? I lost it. Hold on. It's coming back. Here it comes. Where are you, my sugar plums? It's gone. All right, hold on. I'm going to find it. Hold on a second, guys. I'm going to do it. I know I have it. So I'm going to tell you guys about, there it is. Oh, you're going to love it. Hold on a second. Let me share my screen with you, and you're going to see exactly what's going on here. And you can win one of these shirts, or a grand prize winner will get a shirt plus a Manscaped Ultra Smooth Pack. All you have to do is subscribe to this channel and subscribe to my other channel, Full-Time Coaster Tour. And here is my new shirt. What do you guys think of this? What would Green Bean do?
Well, it's kind of funny, except the answer is take a tight end.
Yeah, that or a safety.
On the back, does it say this ain't no happenstance?
Well, I have the other shirts. I have the no happenstance, this ain't no happenstance shirts, and I have this one that was designed mere hours ago. So this is what you can win. Actually, this one you can't win because it's a hoodie, but this will also be in t-shirt format as well. So all you have to do is sub here and sub to Full-Time Coaster Tour, and you are entered in the contest. If you want an extra entry, just go to my Instagram, GreenBeanJetsfan, and follow me there. You see that little comment that says great show by Dom C. Dom C just wrote an amazing article for the website. It's not up. It's not up just yet. It'll be up tomorrow. And he is taking a look at the safeties in this draft, some sleepers, some dissections of the guys you know and the guys you don't know. And Dom C is going to be giving us an article each week on Greenbeanjetsfan.com. Lots and lots of content for you guys. And I hope that you join us. You know, Frankie, Jeremy, Watu-K99, Norfolk, Virginia Jets Fan Club, the Capital Jets Fan Club, Hammerjacks down in Florida. So much to do. But that all said, I want to thank you guys for being here, and thank you to the panel. As always, you guys are just the best. I love you guys, and I appreciate you being here. And with that, I wish everyone a fantastic evening, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, here we come, baby. Here we come. It's the Jets, baby. You want to run or you want to duck down? You want to duck, just go over and get onto the bench and stay there.
You play to win the game.
My message for the fans, we're all frustrated with where we are right now.